When super rookie Tony Stewart won 2 weeks ago at Richmond, nobody was surprised. But last weekend in Loudon, when Joe Nemechek won in career start number 180, it gave every racer who straps into a race car the hope that they too can win their first NASCAR Winston Cup race. But you know, this nasty old monster mile here in Dover isn't a very hospitable place to get victory number one. Heck, it hasn't happened in 18 years. Racer named Jody Ridley was the last one to do it.
Winston Cup points leader Dale Jarrett had a costly day at Loudon. He was in the pits when a late race yellow waved. When he re-entered the pits, the right side tires were out of the pit box, and NASCAR held Dale for one lap. He finished out of the points the way he had not hoped. Mark Martin came to Loudon second in points. 2 separate crashes knocked Martin out of contention and cost him plenty of points as well. He comes to Dover now, third in the point standings. Dale Jarrett right now is trying to figure out which is tougher, to win a Winston Cup championship or to keep yourself from losing one. Today, he's got a long road to hoe. He will start 26th.
Unfortunately, getting caught up in a multi-car crash on the Monster Mile is an all-too-easy thing to do. You run so fast through the turns, visibility is almost nil. In reaction time, well, there just isn't any. Seemingly no one is spared the monster's wrath. A crash at Dover is usually devastating and day-ending. The steep banking of the track, 24-degree turns, 9-degree straights, only intensify the problem. When you hit the outside wall, you immediately go down and hit the inside wall, usually collecting up some other cars with you. I'll tell you, there's 43 guys lined up here right now, and the main thing that's on their mind is to try to figure out how best to avoid the monster's might here today. All the action is next, right here on TNN.
Final time this season, the NASCAR Winston Cup teams come to the northeastern quadrant of our country. TNN Motorsports is live with you here at Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware. The MBNA Gold 400 is coming your way in just moments. We are indeed basically a stone's throw from New York City, where the NASCAR Winston Cup champion will be crowned on the first Friday of December. But you've got to get through Dover, Delaware to get to the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. The points in NASCAR Winston Cup look like that. Everybody has their favorite, but right now it's certainly Dale Jarrett's championship to win or lose. Hi, everybody. Eli Gold. Welcome back to the Monster Mile. Now, you folks are good race fans. I bet you thought that the most overused 2 words in this sport were, "That's racing." Well, I think the most overused words, at least here, Buddy Baker, are track position.
And if you don't get it, you don't win here. Sometimes you say, just give me 2 tires, get me back out there in front, I can stay there. But track position is the key to winning here. And I tell you, if you don't get track position, you lose so much time back in the pack, backing off with slower cars. The front group is going on. You must have track position here.
Now, we've talked extensively in the pre-race show about the Ray Evernham, Jeff Gordon story. Where might Evernham be going if he doesn't stay put? For those who are just now joining us, Dick Berggren, it's certainly worthy of repetition.
Well, it's the story that has made the rounds this weekend for sure. It's the biggest story of the weekend, that Ray Evernham may well be leaving Jeff Gordon, possibly as soon as today. Neither Evernham nor anybody else from Hendrick Motorsports has had anything to say in public on the record about this. If there was nothing to the story, they would say just that. There is nothing to the story. So clearly there is something to the story. This may well be the beginning of the end of one of the greatest parties motorsports has ever seen.
Now trackside, Melvin Joseph has just given the command to fire the engines. Mr. Joseph, the founding father of Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware, glad you're with us. TNN Motorsports on hand, the MBNA Gold 400. It'll go a long way towards further determining who'll win the 1999 NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. National Speedway in Delaware. We're just about an hour's drive south of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, north of Salisbury, Maryland, and the greater Baltimore area. Let's check out the starting lineup. Rusty Wallace with a new track record on the Bud pole. Jerry Nadeau, remember, having gone to a backup car, he's going to have to go to the back. Tony Stewart was 4th here in June. Jeremy Mayfield, 3rd here last September. Jeffrey Bodine, a resurgent performance. He has a Dover win. Bill Elliott's got 4 of them. Then Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin. Would be surprised if the winner comes from position 7 or 8 today?
Not at all. You never know with the starting field here. Qualifying is just a one-lap effort. Out here, you got 400 miles to settle this.
Mike Skinner has 4 fourth-place positions this year. Kenny Irwin was 10th last week. Matt Kenseth, remember how well he did last year, 6th in Bill Elliott's car?
Yeah, and he has been very strong all weekend long. Watch that car.
Joe Nemechek, our winner last weekend in Loudon, and Elliott Sadler, fastest in final practice. Ward Burton, Jimmy Spencer, his first start here was back in 1989. Jimmy Spencer driving for a guy named Baker. Rick Mast, Bobby Labonte, a couple of Roush drivers. Kevin LePage, Chad Little. Ed Berrier's on board the 90, second start of 1999 for him, and Johnny Benson. Of course, Schrader, his last win came here. Of course, it was back in 1991. But this is a weekend where, again, he is confident. Ricky Craven and Jeff Burton. And buddy, he gave us a lift on his golf cart this morning. Said, hey, we got a car that can win.
Yeah, he says, I'm not real fast on the start of the runs, but he said on long runs, I'm very, very good. When he says that, that means he's a killer.
Bobby Hamilton and Robert Presley. Brett Bodine about to sell his racing operation, but he'll drive for the new owner next year. And Kenny Wallace is there. Michael Waltrip, a couple of top 5s in 27 Dover races, and David Green. And back in 37 and 38, how about that for some veteran performance?
Last they met.
Enough to say. Wally Dallenbach. The pictures are right for this year. It'll be kind of close to next year. Wally heads over to the 75 car. Rich Bickle, Hutch Strickland, Dave Marcus. There you have it. Those who did not qualify include Todd Bodine, Nick Trickle, Darrell Waltrip, Andy Belmont, Derek Cope. The AutoZone race analysis brought to you by the more than 2,500 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. Look at that, 7 different winners in the last 7 Winston Cup races this year. You talk about parity. There's a classic example.
I was looking at the top line, over $2 million on the line today.
And there you see the track description. It reads impressively, and it drives even tougher than that, buddy.
Just imagine going around 4 corners and a mile in 22 seconds. That's how quick this racetrack is. And I'm telling you, you cannot believe the G-forces you pull in the corner here as you go around.
And look at those fans. I mean, I remember the old days. They had 30,000 people here. We're happy to have them. Now you're well over 100,000 and still growing. We gave you that list of those who did not qualify. There's another look at it visually. Got a lot of guys giving us rides around the Speedway today. There's Hutch Strickland, Federated Auto Parts onboard camera. Robert Presley and the Jasper team giving us a ride. The June winner, Bobby Labonte. Ricky Rudd, kind enough to allow us to ride along with him. The Tide Whirlpool onboard camera. Kenny Irwin. He's had good runs and not so good runs here. That's typical for Dover Downs. Number 3-point man, Mark Martin. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. And the Richmond winner with the Husqvarna onboard camera, that is Tony Stewart. Again, this is a certified mile, so 400 times around equals the 400 miles for the MBNA Gold 400. A purse of over $2,100,000 on the line. Here we go. Glad you're tuned in on TNN Motorsports. Memphis cars and the Penske machines battling up front as Jeremy Mayfield takes the top spot.
You see Rusty just pull over there, let his teammate go. Jeremy Mayfield has a very quick car. You see him waving like that. The reason they do that, no tail lights to let a guy know you're slowing down a little bit. That means one thing. The 20 car right now is taking the lead down the back straightaway. Nothing new there.
Oh, he is just absolutely flying. Tony Stewart has been a rocket ship, to use your word, this weekend, buddy. Extremely fast in that car.
For Jeremy Mayfield, it was the first Dover race he has led. The 11th time he's been here. Riding now with Bill Elliott in fourth. For Tony Stewart, who's now leading, this is the 13th race he has led this season.
Bill Elliott running along in fourth place. You're riding with him as he goes through turn 4 and down the front straightaway. Bill Elliott has really turned it up in the last little bit. His car is very competitive now. Jeff Gordon looking him over. Here goes Rusty now. He's got his tire pressures up. Everything's handling well. He's moving out.
So laps 3 and 4 will be led by Tony Stewart, the way it's looking. And Rusty at the scoring line takes over the lead on lap number 5. And the scoring line is in turn 4 here at Dover. That's where the scoring stand is. Obviously, scoring at the end of the race is at the start-finish line. But the scoring stand and that line is in turn 4 here at Dover.
Eli, I want to explain the air pressure story just for the people that are joining us for the first time. You start out with the air pressure very low. The car does not handle very well. Rusty waited until the air pressure and the heat built up in the tires to balance the car back out. Now he turned it on.
Still struggling up front a little bit. Rusty Wallace right now is your leader. Jeremy Mayfield, we get this look out the back of Stewart's car. Jeremy loaned Rusty his shock absorbers yesterday after a great run in happy hour. Rusty threw him on that number 2 car. Said, nah, stick with my own stuff. But that's what teammates are for. They help each other out.
Lap number 7 of 400. Rusty Wallace, Tony Stewart, Jeremy Mayfield. They have already led, and here goes Stewart. Had an idea.
He's checking him out, drives right under him. At this early point in the race, if a guy gets the fender up even with the door, you pretty much let him go. Now, if it was 10 to go, it'd be a big fight for position. But right now, if the guy's handling a little bit better, you let him go on out there. It's not bad to watch a rabbit run. Also, they've had a couple of incidents during practice here where they did tear a couple of tires. So we got to keep an eye on that today. You could have used these tires in early runs.
Line's down.
Don't go right ahead.
Line is down nice and low this early in the race, but as this day wears on, keep an eye on that. The line will move around here at Dover. The racetrack itself doesn't change all that much because it's cement as opposed to the black asphalt. The white cement doesn't change as much. The sun doesn't move it around in terms of where it's fast, but the rubber on the racetrack moves the line around. So you'll see people moving up and going faster. You'll see people hunting around as this day wears on.
Eli, I think we're getting an answer about the Jeff Gordon-Ray Evernham problem. He's running in fourth right now and seems to be the quickest car by our computers right now every lap. Trying the high side right there. You can see great grip coming up out of the corner as he rockets down the back straightaway right by Jeremy Mayfield.
At 149 miles an hour, rocketing is the right term. Meanwhile, Mark Martin, having made that pass around Jeffrey Bodine to pick up the 6th spot. So the Valvoline Cummins Ford working its way towards the front.
And it is indeed a resurgent Jeffrey Bodine in that number 60 car. He is all set in that ride for next year. Sponsor returns, crew chief returns.
Meanwhile, Tony Stewart leads. Rusty Wallace is in second, and he's feeling some heat now from Jeff Gordon. Glenn, that's a good battle right there, but the battle disappears in a hurry.
Yeah, Gordon just went live going into turn 1, Eli, and we're standing right down here at the entrance to turn 1, and there is an incredible amount of paper, hot dog wrappers, all kinds of paper blowing down the front stretch here, and Rusty has had that stuff cover his grill. Robin Pemberton told him a couple of laps ago, watch the water temperature. It may try to run hot. I tell you, that's one of the disadvantages to being out front here. They're the guys that get that paper the most.
Yeah, just then you can see as he's going into turn 1, the lower section of that radiator opening there was covered, as Glenn said, totally covered, and it will run hot. There's not much air going in on that top part of the radiator opening.
13 laps are complete. Rusty Wallace has led, so has Jeremy Mayfield. The current leader is Tony Stewart. We're back in a moment. Jeff Gordon took the lead from Tony Stewart. Gordon here at Dover has led on the average 173 laps per race in the last 8 races here.
It's incredible. 37% of the races, laps since this place has been concrete, that number 24 car has been in the lead.
Steve Burns, we see Ray Evernham on our screen, though a lot of printed reports this week indicated that Brian Weitzel might have been calling the shots in the pits. What's happening down there today?
Well, Eli, we're right behind Ray, and I can tell you it's business as usual. You're right. There were some reports that Brian Weitzel would be calling some of the shots, but Ray Evernham is talking to Jeff. They're communicating back and forth. So for right now, it's business as usual as the 9 car comes down pit road.
And you might have seen as we cut to that car a little smoke, and look at the right front fender. Somebody got into him right over there on the top of the right front fender, and that's where the smoke was coming from.
Eli, the entire right side of that car has been buffeted. He got into the wall somewhere. You can see all the way down the right side. The number there, concrete dust all the way down the side. The right rear corner also dented in.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody got into him. He found the wall somehow. Watch the pass for the lead. Let's take him back about 4 laps ago. Gordon set him up on the main straightaway.
He's got a tremendous amount of grip off the corner. Gets by Tony Stewart getting into turn 1. But they are both going up into Harry Gant country. And when we say that, that's a very high line through the corner. Tony Stewart right up against the very outside of the groove there.
That's 7th place now. Bill Elliott of the 94 has it. And Jeffrey Bodine trying to yank it away. Jeffrey used to be the all-time track record holder here at Dover when he was driving in his modified days. Of course, since the advent of the Pep Boys Indy Racing League, those cars have the top speeds here, as you might well imagine. We'll be giving you NASCAR timing and scoring throughout the course of the day there in the upper left of the screen. Napa, we keep America running, and we saw Mark Martin running around Rusty Wallace there.
Yeah, and I talked to his crew chief, Mr. Fennick, this morning in the garage area, and he told me this is Mark's favorite car. This is the one he won the race in last year here.
Well, Mark Martin up to 3rd now.
And the one thing they're worried about with that car is tires. They are burning the right rear, or have been burning the right rear tire off that car in practice, and that is what's really on Jimmy Fennick's mind as he watches his race car run today. Can the tires hold up with the suspension setup that they have underneath the car? He said his was the only one that had the problem.
Meanwhile, Jeff Burton, who started back in 28, look at him there, the 99 car. He's caught Ricky Rudd. That's 12th and 13th right there. So he starts in 28th, guys, and now he's all the way up to 12th position. That's going to
Eli, in some of these races this year for Jeff Burton, that's starting up towards the front. He can still win from there. We saw him start as far back as 38th earlier this year in New Hampshire and come up for a win. He's doing what he is used to doing, just working his way through traffic. The crew is just giving him lap times and telling him where the traffic is. No complaints about the race cars at all. And he is bringing Dale Jarrett right with him through the field. Now, as far as the 9 car, Rich Bickle goes, he did brush the wall over in turns 3 and 4 a couple of laps ago, and it finally caught up with him and cut the tire down.
You saw John Andretti making room there. Burton went by him, so Jeff Burton now into the 11th spot, and Andretti in the 43 back to 12th. Jeff trying to break into the top 10. The 97 Chad Little running in 10th. We're 29 laps in. 400 make up the total distance today.
Boy, the knowledge these two guys have on slippery racetracks, learning from electric stunt cars, and just how to stay right on the edge all the time. Look at them just mirroring each other through the corner. Tony Stewart's finding he can get off the corner low now and starting to pick up on Jeff Gordon.
That's 8th place swapping around. Kenny Irwin off turn 4. Bypassing Bill Elliott, and for the lead as Gordon goes high. Stewart stays low, and Tony Stewart will take over the lead at lap number 30. One little bobble.
And the best both of them go, because right there is Mark Martin coming like a house of fire right now. He is flying up through here.
No lack of action, and the leaders are now beginning to catch some of the lap machines. said, here comes Mark Martin. He'll grab second spot away from Jeff Gordon. So as the leaders work traffic, all the crews look on. Bill Elliott's bunch sees their driver in ninth. When we left you, Tony Stewart was the leader. When we come back, Tony Stewart's the leader, but that's not half the story. We've had it swap around a couple of times to see Brett Bodine going a lap down on the Paychecks Ford. Tony Stewart led lap 30 through 33. Mark Martin led lap 34. Tony Stewart reassumed the lead on 35. Let's go back and bring you up to speed so you won't miss any of those lead changes.
Here comes Mark Martin. Right on the bottom of the racetrack, you see Tony Stewart running a much higher line. In the 6th car, Mark Martin just rockets right by. But you know what? Mark is so smart. He may say, I'm leaning on the tires too much. I know I can catch it. Let me back up a little bit. I've got a great car. I'll save it for later.
Because a lap and a half later, here's what happened. Tony Stewart reassumes the lead. That was on videotape just a few moments ago. Now back to live action. And Stewart's lead is 4/10 of a second over Mark Martin. And look at that. Already 8 lead changes today. And the record is only 7 away.
Yeah, well, you know, since they went back to the real high rear spoilers and let the nose of the race car back down on the racetrack itself, racing has been better all year long.
And Goodyear's got a great tire. They got a tire that they built just for this racetrack. This is the 4th race they have run that tire, and it really performs well. It provides a good bit of grip and a lot of driver confidence. They're not afraid to stick their necks out with that tire.
Riding with Kenny Irwin, he's in 9th, and look who's just ahead of him. That's Dale Jarrett now running in 8th. Now look at that, from 26th up to 8th for the Winston Cup point leader.
One thing nice about Dale Jarrett, he has the demeanor to sit back there, take his time, not get himself in a confrontation, but be extremely fast on his way towards the front. We see him time after time drop back, way back in the field, run back up, and I'll guarantee you if he's running near the end of the race, he'll be in the top 5.
He has that cool demeanor, too. He's had a tough run. 3 of his worst 4 runs all year long have come in the last 4 races. DJ has had a tough ride of it, from back pits and from problems last week at New Hampshire, being penalized for pitting out of the box. He knows that he has got to have a good run, race after race after race. It is consistency that has brought him to the top of the Winston Cup points. It is consistency that will bring him to the head table in New York.
Hey, Ralph, we just saw that guy right there, Kenny Wallace, slow down markedly. What's the problem?
Well, Eli, Dover's always a long day. It's about to get a lot longer for Kenny Wallace. His car is down 1 cylinder, so it's about to be a very long 400-mile day here for Kenny Wallace.
You remember 2 years ago, guys, we ran 800 laps here, 800 miles, and Kenny completed just 34 of those. In the June race a couple of years ago, he had an accident when a tire went down on lap 32. Then in the September race, his engine went bye-bye after only 2 laps. And then here, when was it now? It was back in June he qualified 4th. He was in the top 5 until the 289th lap. Then he went high, hit the wall, ricocheted down. Here came Jerry Mayfield, done for the day. Kenny told me once, I'm just sitting here thinking old Kenny Wallace stories, and the only thing that I like about Dover is that it's the casino. He said, I have good luck at the casino, and I can't get out of my own way on the racetrack.
Eli, that's the most miserable day you'll ever spend in a race car. Take it from me. When it's down on power, you're looking 1 eye in the mirror, 1 eye on the racetrack. You can't even get out of the way sometimes. When they come up 2 or 3 wide behind you, you don't even know how to get out of the way, so it's miserable out there.
Now watch Tony Stewart there in the 20, folks. He's got David Green going high in the 45, so he'll go a lap down in 36. Thought we might see more out of Schrader, but Kenny's about to go a lap down.
Yeah, and you see Mark Martin just mirroring everything the 20 does right now. He's just letting him set the pace, just sitting there riding his own race right now. But tremendous straightaway speed. You can see why Schrader's dropping back. He's not even fast down the straightaways right now.
Too bad. Jeremy Mayfield is in the top 10. Meanwhile, look at this battle here. Jeremy's teammate Rusty Wallace in 4th, and Steve Hart started in 10th, and here he goes in the 4th spot now.
He's been fast in the practice session, Steve Park has, and he's got a good setup for here at Dover. Dave Charpentier, his engineer on that team, has come with the same kinds of setups that he used to use with Kyle Petty and Rick Mast. He says it's the same setup everybody's used here for the last 8 or 10 years. But I'll tell you what, that number 1 car has been a good one all week long for Steve Park.
Steve, 9th in points in the second half of the season. You realize that? Just take from Daytona and the Pepsi 400 to where we are. And Steve Park is 9th in NASCAR Winston Cup points. You take this second half of the year. There's Jeremy Mayfield. He has been in the top 10 in 4 of the last 5 races here, Glenn. I guess we shouldn't be surprised he's there again today.
Well, Eli, actually, there's a lot of concern down here in Jeremy's pits. The car is very, very tight. He cannot turn it both getting in the corners or in the middle or coming off. In fact, he said it was even tight down the straightaway. He doesn't like it at all. And the problem with that here at Dover is if you're pushing that right front tire that much, as fast as you run through these corners, you can heat that thing up and maybe cause a blowout. His lap times have fallen over 1/2 second slower than Mark Martin's are right now, and he's over 10 seconds behind Martin and the leaders of the race. So there's a lot of concern here about the right front tire on Jeremy's car.
Let me talk just a little bit about pushing the race car. It feels almost like when you hit a nice spot on the road. You know how the front of the car just slips right away from you? Well, that's what he's talking about. When he turns it, it will not get good grip getting in the corner and goes right out to the outside of the racetrack.
And as Glenn said, from Jeremy Mayfield, you have to go forward 10 8/10 seconds to find Tony Stewart. He's the leader of the MBNA Gold 400.
Well, you're exactly right, Eli. He started this race 20th. He has brought 1 position, 20 seconds behind the leader. He's got the same problem that Glenn Jarrett mentioned moments ago. His car is extremely tight. The crew is concerned about the buildup on their right front tire. It's really heating up on the 18 of Bobby Labonte. 20 seconds behind the leaders. Let's check in now with Ralph Shaheen.
Well, Steve, the combination of Jeff Burton and Dale Jarrett has been flying up through the field. They have been turning laps almost 1 mile an hour faster than the leaders. We finally heard one of the 2 drivers say anything about their car. Jeff Burton has said his number 99 is just a little bit tight in the middle of the corner.
You see he and Jarrett going around the Woody Woodpecker team entry. That's Rick Mast, who has been bypassed by the leaders already. Rick's in 34th, a lap down. Rich Bickle has had a series of problems. There you see the crew pushing it back towards the NASCAR Busch Series garage, because Rich came off the track down there in turns 3 and 4. Now we've got some problems. Chad Little and Dave Marcus get together. Caution is on the Speedway. Chad was in 17th spot, and Dave Marcus had already been lapped. He was back in 41st. And caution on the Speedway for the first time, lap number 63.
You can see Dave Marcus moving around in the car. That's always a good sign. He did hit the inside wall, but he's refired now, trying to get it to move off the inside wall, as you can see.
Chad Little was all the way up to 10th a short while ago. They used up the back of that real tree machine.
Yeah, he's driving that back so he can load it right now instead of after the race, because that car is pretty well done.
By the way, Dave Marcus and everybody in the garage wanted us to say hello to Tommy Gale. Remember Tommy, longtime NASCAR Winston Cup competitor from Pennsylvania, drove the 64 for a long time?
Yeah, for Elmo Langdon.
Right.
And, yeah, just wanted to tell him we're all thinking about him. And Tommy Gale's been a friend of racing for many, many years. Helped a lot of people along the way, as well as being a pretty good driver.
Also put many an all-you-can-eat establishment out of business. He and Dick May, they cowered when they saw them coming. But Tommy's been under the weather and struggling just a bit. And we're all thinking about you, Tommy. Keep your chin up. Here's what happened again. Watch this.
Wow. It looked like Chad just broke loose a little bit with the front end of the car, went up and got into the back of the 71 and turned him there. Now watch the 71 come down. As you come down the racetrack, look at everybody trying to get by him.
Great job.
Bobby Labonte goes by there and into the inside wall, Marcus.
Now, if the first hit hadn't hurt that car, the second one surely did.
That was a big break for some fellas like a Bobby Labonte, because he was not far from being lapped by the race leaders. And that turned out to be a big break for him.
Marcus in his 863rd start today, the most experienced of all the drivers here today.
He's a dandy. You know what today is, guys? Bill France Sr., of course, deceased. Today is his birthday. He would have been 89 this day. William H.G. Big Bill France. Thumbing through the old media guides here, and today was Bill Sr.'s birthday.
When you think of men of vision, he surely is.
My goodness, without his thoughts and like you say, being a visionary, none of us would have been anywhere near a place that looked like this today. 64 laps on the board. Pit stops. Ralph, you're first.
Eli, 3,100 RPMs in second gear is what they will be doing as they make their way up pit road. Dale Jarrett and Jeff Burton, their biggest conversations have not only been about what they're going to do to the cars, but to have their spotters talk them all the way up pit lane once they get completed with their pit stops. Both cars are a little bit tight. They're going to go a half a pound down on both the left side tires, Steve Burns.
And Jeff Gordon is in. They're going to make some major chassis adjustments. The 24 car is also tight. They're going to try and pull a spring rubber out of the right front. They just made the wedge adjustment to the right rear. 4 tires for Jeff Gordon. Let's quick check in with Glenn Jarrett.
Well, down here, Tony Stewart has brought his Pontiac in. They are cleaning the grill, 4 tires of fuel. Mark Martin is in. He pulls right out in front of Kenny Wallace coming down pit road. There goes Jeff Gordon, Dale Jarrett. So 4 tires, fuel. That's all we saw out of the 20 and the 6. No chassis changes.
Look at that tire. Look out.
Look at that brave crewman. Oh, boy.
Brave the right term.
I don't know.
Matter of fact, NASCAR is just saying, find out who rolled that tire and who that is. Everybody keeping an eye. Safety of the crewmen is paramount. 65 laps on the board. Back to Dover in a moment.
You know, my first racing days were...
You see if your favorite... Look at Kenny Irwin.
Oh, great run, already up to 8. And you could see the crewmen in there sweeping the garage where they stop and pit the cars. They all sweep their pit areas before they come back in so the car does not slip into the next box.
So we continue under caution. Cleanup resumes. Kenny Wallace is in for another stop as the NASCAR officials check the condition of the track. We're going green. To the resumption of the MBNA Gold 400. Rusty Wallace is now the race leader. The 23 car, Jimmy Spencer, is on the tail end of the lead lap.
Yeah, he went right by Stewart. Stewart went high, and Rusty Wallace just powered by on the bottom side. Rusty had a great pit stop. He was running 4th when he came in the pit. Come out 2nd. Right now leading the race and very, very fast.
They all took 4 tires and fuel on that last round of pit stops, but based on the Busch Series race that we saw here yesterday, some treachery could occur later in this event, as 2 tires can also be a very fast way around, and that provides track position.
Speaking of treachery, this is the makings of treachery right here. Jimmy Spencer trying to hold on, trying to stay in that lead lap. Perhaps the caution comes out. He makes up a full lap on the leader. But right now, Tony Stewart putting a lot of heat on the outside of Rusty Wallace.
Now the 4, the Kodak car, Bobby Hamilton, he's not on the lead lap. He's a lap down in 29th. Oh, Tony
man.
about hit the wall.
That camera jumped in.
I did too. Spencer's got a good car. That's the same car he finished 2nd with at Bristol in August.
Now you see Bobby Hamilton in the 4 there. He's trying to make up a lap also.
And Spencer trying to stay on the lead lap.
Yow.
He's so fast here at Dover that stuff like this can really worry a driver.
Rusty pushed up, let Bobby Hamilton go. He said, we'll just see how good you are in about 15, 20 laps from now. He's in the lead, does not need to fight these 2 cars just in front of him.
A lot of racing yet to go. Again, the 4 Hamilton and the 23 Spencer now on the tail end of the lead lap. They are 28th and 29th respectively, and Tony Stewart retakes the lead from Rusty Wallace.
Boy, that 20 car is incredible. Once Tony Stewart gets the air pressure up in this car, balance perfect. He led a lot of races here in the spring race here, so it's not unusual to see this 20 car run exceptionally well here.
Steve, it's always nice to visit with Dave Marcus, but it's far too early today.
Yeah, the good news is, Eli, Dave Marcus looks good, but Say if your race car doesn't, what happened? Can you get back in the race?
Well, Chad Little just ran into me. I don't know no reason for it. Last week it was Kenny Irwin. It seems like these guys today just seem like they can come out there and run into anybody they want. And I'm not happy about it. As far as his sponsor goes, I wouldn't have a John Deere tractor for nothing. It's terrible. I had never seen anything like it, and there's no penalties handed out. I don't understand it. I mean, I was watching the people by. Everyone else passed me. I just don't understand it. It's terrible.
Obviously upset. Dave Marcus, pole sitter here 23 years ago at the Monster Mile. Today he's in the garage early.
Eli, that's about the second or third time he's had a pretty violent crash. Last year in Pocono, he and Brett Bodine got together and he hit the wall there, destroyed the car. It's natural to feel a little aggravated after you get knocked in the wall like that, but I'm sure Chad did not mean to do it.
If you're a Ricky Craven fan, he's just come in for an unscheduled tire change at lap number 73. This is 7th spot right here. Mayfield takes it away from Jeff Gordon. Remember, Jeff led 307 laps here back in 96 en route to the win. Led 371 here back in 1998 en route to the win. But right now, other than leading for a few laps from 16 through 29, he's not been a huge factor. Glenn Jarrett, Rusty Wallace's teammate Jeremy Mayfield having a solid run again. He's up to 8.
Yeah, Eli, they were really looking for that caution. It came at the right time for them, and the tires did show a really bad push. They made several major adjustments on the car to try to free the thing up, and right now he looks real good. The real telling part about it, though, will be whenever he gets about 20 or 30 laps on the tires and then heated up to their normal running temps, and then we'll see how the car does. But right now, it's a whole lot better. At least it's not pushing down the straightaway anymore.
You see Jeremy Mayfield right there.
That's your 6th place car there. Jeff Burton's going by on the outside, the 99 car.
At 7th, 8th, 9th.
Kenny Irwin loses 2 spots there as they go down the back straightaway.
I like the way Jeremy Mayfield's coming off the corner. He's got a lot of accelerator coming out of the turns, and that's what it takes to be fast here. Yesterday I was in the garage area, and after practice I could see the smile on his face through the full-face helmet. Mayfield says this is the best car he has ever had at Dover. He is thrilled about that race car, thinks this is his best chance ever to win at Dover.
Just a few minutes ago, complaining of the car pushing a whole bunch in the middle part of the corner, still running pretty high line. But, you know, that's the good part of a great race car, is you can adjust it and get it back like you want it.
The guys talked earlier about Kenny Wallace. There goes the Square D machine being pushed to the garage area. We talked about how Kenny's just not had a ton of good luck at this racetrack, and apparently the bad luck continues for him again today. We are at 84 laps complete. 316 to go here at Dover Downs. Greg Ziffidelli, crew chief for Tony Stewart. His man is in 2nd right now. We're coming right back. Welcome back, everybody. We are under caution. Debris on the racetrack is the reason why. With a big piece of metal that was displayed. Meanwhile, that man makes up his lap. Bobby Hamilton, remember we showed you getting by the race leader before? He was able to make up his lap and stay on the lead lap, so a great opportunity for him. As far as Jimmy Spencer, however, news not quite as good. Jimmy was not able to stay with the leaders and has gone a lap down here as the caution flies. So it works for some, doesn't work for others. That caution is on the Speedway. It came out at lap number 87. Jeff Gordon running back in 10th, Steve, and after leading for a bit earlier, is pretty well hanging right there, middle of the field.
Eli, on that last pit stop, they made some pretty major chassis adjustments, the biggest of which was they removed a spring rubber from the right front corner, and Jeff Gordon has radioed in and said taking that spring rubber out has made the car push even worse. So
wow.
They do have a handful right now.
No, not that many folks made big moves after that last caution. Matt Kenseth was 17th, dropped back a position to 18th. Dale Earnhardt has stayed 21st. from that restart at 70 right through where we are now at 87. Same thing, Bobby Labonte was 25th and stayed there. I guess the big advance was probably Terry Labonte. Went from 27th to 24th in what is today his 629th consecutive NASCAR Winston Cup start.
Ready, great.
You heard the spotters say, let's get at it. Jimmy Spencer in that red and white 23 tried to get his lap back. On the apron of the track, you see Rich Bickle in that 9 car coming back. He's still 4 laps down.
Oh, my, here comes Jimmy Spencer on the bottom side, trying to make up that lap, trying to get back on the lead lap. Rusty Wallace finally lets him go. Kyle Petty in the 44 also trying to make up a lap.
There's your Midas wall camera, brought to you by Midas. Go safely. Go Midas. 167, 168 miles an hour. Quickest I picked up there.
We have a new leader also. As you can see, Mark Martin trying to get by the 2 car there of Rusty Wallace. Makes a move, and here comes Tony Stewart to take over second.
He makes it stick. So Mark Martin showing the way now at lap number 93.
Looking back from Mark's car, you can see Rusty Wallace and Tony Stewart side by side down the back stretch as they enter into turn 3 there.
Glenn, we're watching Tony Stewart, though. He's going to be awful tough all day long, I think.
Well, it looks like it, Eli. In fact, the car must be awfully good because on that last caution period, the only complaints that Tony had were of a personal nature. The hose that blows fresh air into his helmet had come off, and he told him, I want this fixed.
And he probably said it just like that. Keep your eye on that 88 car there, Dale Jarrett also. He is really, really moving up to the front right now.
Ralph, what'd they do to Dale's car?
Well, it's not Dale's car that there's a lot of concern about, but Dale's back. Dale Jarrett has had a stiff back all week long, Eli. It's a recurring problem that he has suffered through numerous times. He was on a tinge unit all day Saturday, and he went and had to work out some this morning about 9 o'clock. So far, he's been in pretty good shape, but it is definitely something this team is keeping an eye on.
Dale Jarrett, he's been the point leader since race number 11 of the year at Richmond. And, of course, his lead has fluctuated, as you know, from a high of 314 to a low of 33. In the garage, only 2 teams right now, Dave Marcus and this man, Kenny Wallace, standing by with Steve.
And Eli, they've already loaded the number 55 Square D car onto the truck. Kenny, what happened? I know you're disappointed.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed, but, you know, Andy Petrie, Jimmy Ellis, you know, they looked at the motor and determined that we had too much internal damage in the valve train. So it happened about lap 2 or 3. I want to thank everybody back in Square D, but, you know, our day was cut short. So we'll go on to my favorite track next week, which is Martinsville. Good luck next week. Thank you.
And it really is his favorite track. He's done awfully well at the Martinsville Speedway. There you see the Haviland points as we run right now. Dale Jarrett in 4th on today's leaderboard. And there you see Jeff Gordon looking on the computer, folks. He's now turning laps at 144.9 miles an hour compared to Mark Martin at 148.7. We're talking almost 4 miles an hour off the speed of the race leader.
Okay, you're talking about almost 150 pounds of difference in the right front. When you pull that spring rubber out, that's the spacer that goes in between the coil spring on the right front. When you pull that out, it softens the right front up. Sometimes it gets a better bite, but if it goes in the corner and starts to bounce and makes that tire lose grip getting in the corner, it's the worst thing you can do, making it too soft.
And they really don't want to have a push here either. They are one of the teams that did experience some tire problems. Jeff had a tire go down. He felt it go down, and before the tire failed, he was able to get out of the throttle. So they are especially cautious. Clearly, they don't want to have a tire failure, and a push is a great way to pick up a tire failure. There's about 3,400 pounds of pressure on the right front here.
That's extreme. You see Andretti in the 43 going around Gordon. The lap car of Schrader going around as well as Gordon climbs the white cliffs of Dover. And you'll see all those changes reflected there on the upper left-hand corner of your screen. NASCAR timing and scoring presented by MCI WorldCom on net. It is your one connection to the world. I guys, what are we hearing from Jeff Gordon's crew?
Well, Eli, we just heard Jeff radio in, and maybe Buddy can explain this to the race fans out there, but Jeff radioed in and said, I think I have a bad set of tires. He's not pinpointing one. He thinks he has a bad set. What about it, Buddy?
Well, I'd have to question whether the changes they made on the car might be the bad set of tires he's talking about, because they're pretty uniform. They're almost built on the same day, all the racing tires that they use in an event. It's pretty hard to get a bad set of tires. Now, back in the days where you had stagger in the car,
The bias days.
Yes, you could have a lot of problems. But right now, I think he's really having a problem with the car itself. I don't think it's balanced the way it needs to.
There's a good scramble for 5th and 6th now. Jeff Burton moves up around Steve Park. The 60, Jeffrey Bodine, he still runs well. He's in 8th now. Everybody's still sorting themselves out. Working lap 105 of 400. Race leader continues to be Mark Martin. Let's go down to Glenn Jarrett.
Yeah, guys, I was listening to Buddy's response to Steve's question about a bad set of tires. And Buddy, I got to tell you, that was a great answer. You really covered it well, but do you still have a Goodyear tire contract?
Yes, I do.
Lifetime?
No, Glenn, I just think sometimes that's the easiest reply. It's kind of like when a guy doesn't run real hard in the corner, you say it don't run down the straightaway.
These tires are now primarily built by computer, and they are so very closely matched. Some of the teams try to work with the numbers, the serial numbers on the tires. Goodyear says when they do tire testing, they don't pay any attention to it at all because those tires really are so close.
There's a good scramble again for 7th. Jeffrey Bodine grabs it away from Steve Park. So Jeffrey's up to 7th, and Park is back to 8th.
Jeffrey, a good run here today in Dover.
Likes this racetrack, always has.
Yeah. Steve Park at that number 1 rode his motorcycle all the way from the race last weekend in New Hampshire, took it to Long Island where he saw friends and stopped in and said hi to his grandmother, came all the way down here, hit one solid day of rain, so he just put on his wet gear and on he came.
Here's Kenny Irwin riding with him.
Steve Park beginning to drop back just a little bit. Kenny Irwin moving up on him. You see Mark Martin right now being collected up by Tony Stewart. Tony is the quickest car on the racetrack at the moment. He's able to run a little bit higher than Mark, but Jimmy Spencer's right there, so he's going to have to turn down and try to get after Mark another way.
Mark Martin has won the last 2 September races here at Dover, and in the process has led 573 of those 800 laps. That's about 72-73%. Tony Stewart's right there, going to give him a run.
In fact, this car that Mark is in is JR52, same car he won with here last fall. Stewart now on the bottom, going to take it away from him.
That's also the same car that finished 3rd in Atlanta and 2nd in Bristol this year. As you see Tony Stewart go by JR52 and take over the top spot. They swap it around at lap 111. If you're just joining us, Rusty Wallace led first, then Jeremy Mayfield, then Tony Stewart, then Rusty, then Stewart, then Jeff Gordon. Look at that already, 13 lead changes today. Tony Stewart then led at lap 30 through 33, then Martin, then Stewart, then Rusty, then Stewart, then Rusty, then Martin, and now Tony Stewart. There's Dale Earnhardt. Remember we talked earlier that he was 21st and he had stayed there in between those cautions. And Dale Earnhardt now up to 12th since the restart at lap number 92.
And going right with him there is last week's winner right here, Joe Nemechek in the 42, so he's running quite well himself.
Earnhardt's team has struggled since they arrived here. He was very, very slow in practice. In fact, the local newspaper ran a picture of Earnhardt with both hands up in the air as if to say, I don't know what's wrong with this thing. And they really didn't. They changed engines before time trials, worked on it. Earnhardt said there was really no symptom. It just wasn't fast. Finally, they decided, loosen it up. Well, that's all it took. Earnhardt's running well today.
Of course, in the last 8 years here, he has 7 top 5 finishes with wins in 1989 and 1993, so he'll figure it out. Tony Stewart is the race leader. There's the margin he has, 0.4 of a second on Mark Martin on a beautiful 75-degree day. Hello. Birmingham or Phoenix, somewhere down the road.
And the guy in the lead won't work. You can't write that down.
Gotta say a name. We'll tell you who's leading come halfway. We're still about 78 laps away from it. Kenny Irwin running in 9th right now, having a solid run. Meanwhile, Ricky Craven has sought the company of Steve Burns. It's always nice to be with Steve, but not at lap 122 of a 400 lapper.
Yeah, all things equal, I bet Ricky would rather be in the race car. But what puts you out, Ricky? Your team is still working. Can you get back in the race?
Yeah, we lost the transmission, and it's kind of an unusual thing to happen here, but they'll put a new one in. We'll get back up there and join the party. Thanks, Rick.
And Steve, you'll have Rick Mast coming your way as well. He has just now pulled the Woody Woodpecker car off the racetrack, and he'll be heading to the garage area. So Ricky Craven with a transmission failure, while Rick Mast will be going into the garage. We'll get an update shortly. There's 4th place and 5th place now. Dale Jarrett in the 88. And there goes the 99. If he can hang on to the spot.
I think he can. Garrett noticed him in the mirror, just moved over and let him have the racetrack going into turn 1. I think right now Dale's just riding along. I think he has a good car, but Jeff Burton, we know as the race goes on, he always gets better and better.
You know, this is not the only Jeff Burton car on the racetrack today.
No, Matt Kenseth has one of his cars, and he has one of Mark Martin's cars, and I said, well, is it a good Jeff Burton car? And he said, he's won races in it. So, you know, they are helping Matt Kenseth come along, and I think he's going to be no doubt about it, he's going to be a star of the future.
It's neat watching these guys come from the back. Dale Jarrett has had a come-from-the-behind weekend, if you will, in that he had a terrible first-round qualifying run, elected to go in the second round, qualified 26th, and from there he's managed to get himself all the way up to the 5th spot today, driving a car that they call the lawnmower, in fact.
And right now he's mowing down the opposition all the way up to 5th spot here at the Monster Mile. If you're just joining us, you probably haven't seen much of Bobby Labonte. He's really going nowhere today. Kind of tough to figure. He's sitting way back in 23rd spot, and he's just kind of chugging around. Bill Elliott back there as well. I guess when you miss the setup, buddy, it's tough.
I went down in the garage area this morning. They had all the springs out from under that car and all the shocks off of it. They said it was not good, and they were going to make a lot of changes. They just hoped that they hit the right one.
Glenn, your brother's doing all right.
Oh, yeah, he is, guys. So the car seems to be a little bit tight. The lawnmower's a little tight right now. But he's just kind of, like Buddy said, he's just kind of riding along until they get a chance to adjust it. I will add a little more to the lawnmower story. This is the same chassis. Now, obviously not the same body because the Taurus body is on it now. But it's the same chassis that they used to win the Coke 600 in Charlotte in 1996 when he dominated the field so badly there. So this is the same car. It was such a good car, they kept it around. Now they've made it kind of their Dover concrete car.
And the concrete car for here. There you see Jeff Gordon, and look who's right behind him. Race leader Tony Stewart in the 20, putting Gordon a lap down. Jeff is in 26th position, and very early in the day, relatively speaking, goes the lap down. You don't see that much out of Gordon, particularly at this racetrack.
Look at him just move over to the inside of the racetrack there. He knows Mark Martin's coming up. He's staying right on the bottom of the racetrack as Mark moves by on the outside. That's one horrible feeling to be one of the best drivers in the world and just have to give way because the car won't keep up.
They've had an incredibly difficult weekend, no question about it. The media has been all over them. At one point, I looked in the garage, and there were 12 photographers surrounding that car with flashes going off, and how anybody could have concentrated on their work with all of that going on. It would have been a miracle had they been able to do it.
Gordon coming in the pits right now.
Right, he's going to make a pit stop. Many times you'll see a guy stay out there until he goes a lap down, and finally they say it's time to do it. Watch what happened moments ago. The one, Steve Park. Wally got him back.
Oh, boom.
Wally was right there. Lap 132, Ralph, you got Jeff Gordon.
And it'll be a 4-tire stop, Eli. Jeff radioed in and said this thing is pushing like crazy. So they're going to go up a pound and a half on that car, and they're going to make some minor adjustments to it, and hopefully it'll get it good enough that they can continue to work on this car throughout the course of the day and hopefully maybe get those laps back.
By the time he comes up to speed, he will be a couple, maybe even 3 laps down. Now, it looks like he'll stay just a couple of laps down, but nevertheless, an unusual scenario for Jeff Gordon here at Dover Downs International. Of course, this year has been unusual for him. Fans, they're having a great time. Hope you are too. We're coming right back to Dover. Downs hosting the MBNA Gold 400 for the NASCAR Winston Cup teams. Don't forget, you can get all the details about the world of country music, all your favorites from the world of NASCAR. It is your personal source for all things country, country.com. Just log on and check it out as Tony Stewart continues to put folks a lap down. You see him going right past the Wood Brothers car and Elliott Sadler. That's 20th spot. Meanwhile, Rick Mast made a quick trip to the garage, Steve, but he's coming right back out. What'd they do?
Well, Eli, they were working on the transmission. Rick Mast never got out of the car. You know, they've got quite a streak going. He's the only driver to have competed in every race this year who does not have a DNF, but did not finish. So they're just about to get Rick back in the race.
So there you see the man from Rockbridge, Baths, Virginia. Meanwhile, David Green has just taken his car to the garage area. So the attrition rate is raising just a bit. If you're a Ricky Rudd fan, he had a tire problem a short while ago, came in for an unscheduled stop and lost 3 laps in the process. So Ricky is now in 37th spot, 3 laps down as we ride with him going up towards turn number 3. If you were with us on the pre-race show, you heard our national anthem being sung so very well by a group called Four Sisters and a Cousin. One of those sisters is with us, Patty Kleiner, joining us here in the booth. Great to see you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
You guys did a super job.
Well, thanks a lot. It's an honor to be able to get to sing the national anthem for all of you out there.
The big mystery, they tell me, you don't have a big recording contract. Why not?
Well,
somebody's got to wise up out there.
Well, yeah, let's go ahead and just talk about that for about the next hour. And maybe somebody will hear it.
What do you think of all this? I know NASCAR is kind of new to you in person. What do you think about all what you've seen today?
It's hard to find words to describe it. This is our first race, and it blows you away. If you have never attended a race before, I highly recommend everybody get out there, buy a ticket, and go to the race. It's incredible.
There's Tony Stewart in the number 20 machine, closing in on the 18th place runner, Bill Elliott, about to put him a lap down. And Glenn, you've got Jeremy Mayfield in front of you.
Yes, Eli, the car's still very, very tight. They only made an air pressure adjustment last time. This time, they put the wrenches in both sides, track bar adjustment, a wedge adjustment, takes the bite out of the car, 4 tires of fuel in about 17.3 seconds. Pretty good stop for all the work they did, but he is still fighting tight.
Boy, and as we ride with Bill Elliott, just a few minutes ago, he was running along in 4th place. Now he's a lap down. Tony Stewart is mowing these guys down. If you're just a little bit off in your handling right now, he's just absolutely gobbling you up. It don't take very long. He's pulled almost a straightaway on Gordon in just a few laps since he put the lap on him, and Gordon came in the pit. Nothing's helping right now. I think Tony Stewart just class of the field.
And we talk about him being 4th in points in the NASCAR Winston Cup standings, but if you go from the midpoint of the season at Daytona, the Pepsi 400, from that point on, he is leading the NASCAR Winston Cup points. That's how well he is running here. Meanwhile, slowing on the racetrack and going way high again in the corner. That time it was Rusty Wallace. Not on the screen right now, but trust me, and there's Jeffrey Bodine. He's got problems as well. Let's go to the pits.
Okay, guys, the 60 car of Jeff Bodine is coming in. I'm sorry, I was listening to my spotter there for a second. He's got a tire going down. We were also watching Jimmy Finning on the 6th car. He is saying that they are going to change 2 tires when Mark Martin comes in. They're still waiting on Bodine. Here he comes right now. And as I said, they got a tire going down, so they will change all 4 of them.
And we told you Rusty went high. Glenn, here he comes to you now as well.
Yep, here comes Rusty. And they're saying 2 tires. We're going to run down here and take a quick look and see what they do.
The right front on that car is flat. I noticed as he turned in, it's absolutely flat. You can see the smoke coming off of it as they try to go back to the pit road with it. That tire was flat. Rusty went all the way up to the wall, almost making contact with it, but you can see the right side of the car is very clean. He did not hit the wall.
All of these pit stops you're seeing are coming in the window of when you'd expect to see some of these teams come in. Granted, we're seeing these as an unscheduled type because of problems, but with all the leaders having come in originally at lap number 66, Steve, with Skinner coming in now, we're starting to see the window of opportunity open up.
Yeah, Mike Skinner's going to take 4 tires, Eli. Don't see chassis adjustments below Chevrolet. Just 4 tires of gas for Mike Skinner.
Trouble.
Cautions on the track.
John Andretti.
Caution on the Speedway. You can see there that's the fuel pump there. You usually knock the lines off the fuel pump when you hit with the right front corner. That's the fire you see after the 43 there coming out from under the right side of the car.
Glenn chatted with John Andretti on the pre-race, and they chuckled just a bit about some of the bad luck he's had here at Dover Downs. And John's going to survey the problem and see he's got more concerns. At lap 153, caution is on the Speedway. Patty Kleiner, we wish you and the other 3 sisters and the one cousin.
That's right.
The very, very best. 4 sisters and a cousin who sang the national anthem today. Don't be a stranger around the racetrack.
Well, thank you so much. And if anybody wants to visit us out there, they can do so by connecting with our website. It's www.foursistersandacousin.com.
And I know the folks in Mount Sterling, Illinois, awfully proud of you. So are we.
Yeah,
good luck to
that's
you.
right. Thank you so much.
Good to see you, Patty. Patty Kleiner joining us. And look at John just making sure all is okay. And he's just explaining it there to the safety guys.
Eli, you can see part of the brake rotor up against the wall there. There was a lot of debris where he hit. It exploded the right front corner of that car.
Third caution of the day. The first was at lap 63 when Chad Little and Dave Marcus got together. Then there was debris on the track at lap 87. And now John Andretti, and here come the leaders. These stops are going to be at lap 155. Stewart is in, Martin is in. Let's go to Ralph.
Well, first up, Eli, the number 99 of Jeff Burton. They're going to make a track bar adjustment and a little bit of adjustment to some air pressure in that car on the right side of the track bar adjustment. For the 88, that car's a little bit tight from the center of the corner off. They're going to take a half a pound out of the right front and half a pound into the right rear and adjust the track bar, Steve.
And Mark Martin is going to get 4 tires on his stop route. No chassis adjustment. Clay Jarrett.
And Tony Stewart comes in for a 4-tire change. Mark Martin beats him out. 4 tires and fuel for Stewart in 19.2 seconds. And I can't imagine him changing anything on that race car.
And look at those numbers. Some great stops. And everybody back on the Speedway. John Andretti brought out the caution. Watch what happened. Already in progress.
Yeah, you see the fire running behind the car there. That fuel pump line is knocked off there. That's really not anything other than just superficial fire there. It's nothing that would continue to burn.
Let's take a look at what Kenny Irwin saw. Watch Andretti just go right up the hill.
That's a second crash in 2 weeks for John Andretti.
So we are with you at Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware. Time for a break. The concession stands are open. We're coming right back. Cleanup continuing after the John Andretti problems. I'm the Eli.
That's the Donald.
That's the Donald. You just heard from the buddy. I think I'm...
Sorry, folks. We lost it up here.
I think I'll leave Mr. Berggren out of that.
I'm just good old Dick Berggren here.
There you see the top 10. I thought I had a great idea, so I started saying it, and I said, now where do I go? Oh. Hey, look at Ward Burton. We've not talked much about him today. He's up there. And look at Joe Nemechek. Matt Kenseth also in the top 10. We're coming right back. More from Dover and Dover.
Green flag.
Mark Martin leads, then Tony Stewart and Dale Jarrett.
Yeah, and Jeff Bodine missed the gear on that restart. He was very lucky somebody didn't run over him. You see Slater drop way back there as he started off. Nothing happened.
It was very fortunate. Could easily have been one of those front-to-rear chain reaction collisions with everybody collected all close together. Could have been rough. Skinner trying to get his lap back in the 31.
Meanwhile, Dale Jarrett's looking over that potential of getting a 5-point bonus for leading the lap right now. He's right up front.
Rusty Wallace in the 2, running in 27. He's 2 laps down. Trying to make up one of those if he can get by Mark Martin, but for the moment he can't.
Here comes Dale Jarrett right behind Mark Martin as they start off turn 4. I know he has that in mind. If they don't have to really put a lot of leaning on that race car.
Dale Jarrett from one of the slowest cars here in the garage area to leading the field.
It's amazing.
It really is. What a team this is. So many second-generation people in there. Second-generation drivers, second-generation crew chief, second-generation tire expert.
Well, the 2 brothers, the Parrott brothers, were down there this morning. They go over the notes and everything. It's not a miracle that they work so very well. And the guy that drives that car right there is one of the better mechanics. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
He could build that race car himself. So he gives great feedback to the crew.
Meanwhile, Dale Jarrett, now the leader here at Dover Downs, takes over the top spot, bypassing Mark Martin. So that swaps around at lap 163. Watch the restart. Watch third car on the right-hand line right there.
He really did miss it. You can see it coming out the exhaust, huh, buddy?
Oh, yeah. He's lucky he didn't drop the valve right there. The engine went way up. You could see the smoke fly out.
There you see the 2. Rusty Wallace working in and around the 20 of Tony Stewart. Glenn, what are you hearing about Rusty's car now?
Well, Eli, what the problem was, the recommended air pressure in the right front tire is 44 pounds. Rusty had a push in the car early in the race, so they had dropped the air pressure down as low as 41 pounds. And what happened when that tire went down, it separated all along the inside out of the edge of the right front tire here, and that's what caused the problem. They called the Goodyear tire engineer over here, and they looked at it, and they recommended that they go back up on the air pressure at least 2 pounds. And so they're going to have to do that next time they come in. Meanwhile, Rusty's just got to take it easy. The tire that actually came apart and caused the problem, Goodyear put it on a pair of hand trucks and put it back and marked on there, saved for engineering. They want to look at it.
That is Matt Kenseth in the 17 right there. He is definitely in the top 5, running along in 6th place right now in that 17 car. Jeff Burton sold it to him. Robbie Reiser, crew chief on that car. These guys are making a statement right here. They're telling them right now, look for us to be in the top 10 as we start running Western Cup.
The black number 3, Dale Earnhardt. That's for 7th spot. You've got Joe Nemechek just ahead of them as well. Meanwhile, John Andretti's done for the day, Steve.
John just came from the Infield Care Center. John, what happened? Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I just went down on the corner and the right front went down, and I don't know why, but unfortunately it's kind of been the story of our year. We just run good, but we just don't have very good luck. And Robbie Loomis and the guys were just starting to work their magic on the car, and I think it was real good, and I think it was going to get real good by the end, but unfortunately we're not there. John, are you done for the day? Sorry? Are you done for the day, or can you get back out? I think we're pretty much done for the day. It broke the caliper out of the right front. It tore up the right front real bad, so I don't think they can fix it to keep on in.
All right, good news, Eli. He's all right.
He is all right, but indeed not to race anymore this afternoon. You saw during the course of that how Mark Martin set his sights on Jarrett and now whisks right by him. So they'll swap it around again at lap number 169. So Jarrett will lead 163 through 168. Mark Martin now back on top again. And you also saw before Joe Nemechek, fellas. He's now worked his way around Tony Stewart up in a 4th spot this afternoon.
Absolutely. There's some people up there right now in 3rd place right now. Ward Burton has moved into 3rd place in the 22 car. Joe Nemechek in 4th. Dale Earnhardt now showing 5th. Tony Stewart's dropping back a little bit.
And there you see the spread from Martin back to Nemechek. That's 4 seconds right there. Dale Earnhardt will find himself roughly another second behind. You can see him there at the top of your screen. Then Matt Kenseth. They're all running for position on the lead lap here at lap 171. Of course, yesterday, if you were along, you know the story that Kenseth could well have won the Busch Series race here yesterday.
And I wonder if he's thinking about that. He was on the outside of another Dale Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt Jr., when the two of them got together coming off the second corner, they both whacked the wall and basically put them both out of the race. Kenseth didn't get back in at all again, and they were going for the point lead.
And by the way, in case you folks haven't heard, Adam Petty is okay. As you know, yesterday was transported to Kent General Hospital here in Dover. A precautionary examination. The doctors checked him out. No injuries. He was not admitted. Walked out of the hospital, and I understand flew back home yesterday. So certainly good news after what appeared to be a scary incident during the 200 yesterday.
Yeah, and that's part of the story. The other part was young Petty was doing such a great job. Had been in the top 5 for quite a while there. Got touched by Jeff Green, turned around there. I'm certain it wasn't on. He didn't mean to do it, but there was a card on the racetrack coming out of turn 2 where he went straight up, come down right center, hit him almost T-bone.
You saw the 99. Jeff Burton getting around Dale Earnhardt. That was for a position for 6th. That green car, Bobby Labonte, they're so used to seeing him up front, but he is a lap down in 17th position. Running well now, but he lost a lap early. Lots of racing yet to go. A record number of lead changes in this MBNA Gold 400.
Do you think Matt Kenseth is riding along here saying, I can't wait for next year? Riding along there in 5th place. You know, this racetrack, for some reason, he just absolutely gets around super well. Yesterday, had the dominant car. Earnhardt Jr. said, yes, he had the best car. I had one chance. He kept pushing off turn 2. I tried to make a pass. I broke loose and got into him. He said, I'm sorry, we're good friends, but maybe not now.
Matt Kenseth going full-time NASCAR Winston Cup next year, Steve. That'll be exciting to watch.
Hey, yeah, Eli, and I talked to Robbie Reiser, who's the team owner on the Busch Series team. He said that the car, as Buddy said, came from the number 6 stable to Mark Martin, but they have been preparing it in his shop, and all the guys were going over the wall to pit Matt Kenseth today have pitted his Busch car. So they're very proud of the fact that they're pitting both series here this weekend.
On the racetrack,
How about 4th?
Yep, I'll say 4th place. A scramble right there. Kenseth gets around Joe Nemechek. Takes over that position. If you are a Ricky Craven fan, transmission repairs complete. He is 60 laps down. Comes out, makes a lap, and then goes right back to the garage area. So he comes out, makes one quick spin, and then returns to the garage yet again. There's the lead battle. Mark Martin by 0.2 of a second on Dale Jarrett. We're just 179 laps complete. Coming right back. Right now, a half second. Mark Martin back to Dale Jarrett. Then they have about 7 seconds on 3rd. But that man, Tony Stewart, now is all the way back in 9th. And Glenn, very quickly, he's fallen 14 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, Eli, I checked with his crew chief, Greg Zipadelli, to find out what was wrong. They came in and changed 4 tires in the last stop, made no changes whatsoever to the chassis, and for some reason the car is, as Tony turns it, wicked loose. He cannot drive the car down in the corner, so evidently either something was happening along the way, or he just got a set of tires that was mismatched to the way that the chassis is set up. It's so bad that Joe Gibbs came down here to check on it to see what was wrong, but Tony's just having to ride it out right now. Got a very loose race car.
Of course, you're so used to Tony Stewart doing awfully well that when he is falling back just a bit, it does catch the attention of the car owner. Dale Earnhardt, meanwhile, now running in 7th position, Ralph. A solid run for him.
Now that it is, Eli, but right now he is driving the car that won the race at Bristol back in August, and he's very concerned about the right front tire right now. He knows that if he starts abusing that right front tire, this car's going to start pushing. He's going to start going backwards. So he's keeping a very close eye on that right front tire.
You know, we talk so much about Jeff Burton, but when Dale Earnhardt starts further back than 30th, he always seems to come to the front. 6 top 10s already when starting further back. And again, the folks from Napa giving you NASCAR timing and scoring so you can see where your favorite is running right now.
And Earnhardt has been starting in the back this year. In 21 of 26 races so far, he has finished better than he has started. And it looks like he's going to do it again today. Doesn't seem to matter where he starts. He's running up front.
If you're a Terry Labonte fan, he's making an unscheduled pit stop running in 29th. He's already 3 laps down. And Terry just comes down to the pit lane to the attention of the crew and then pulls back onto the racetrack. There's Steve Park in the number 1. 18th place for him. A lap off the pace. Leader Mark Martin. Dale Jarrett running in the second spot, 7/10 of a second back, and you'll see what 7/10 looks like here at the Monster Mile. 8 full seconds behind now is Jeff Burton. Very unusual to see the spread that wide. We'll see. We're just waiting. It'll take a while for Burton to come on around. He is 8 seconds back. Labonte going around Rusty Wallace, still waiting for Jeff Burton. That's what 8 seconds is like here at the Monster Mile. Then you got Matt Kenseth right there in the 17 running in 4th. And then Ward Burton now running in the 5th spot. There's the Cat car, number 22. And further back, you've got Nemechek and Earnhardt. And Bobby Hamilton. Haven't talked all that much since Bobby was able to get back on the lead lap. There you see Nemechek in 6th. Hamilton all of a sudden running well in 8th.
Eli, I was just listening to 2-car of Rusty Wallace when he came by the front straightaway. Then he's got a cylinder out on that car. It's down.
There you see Dale Earnhardt. He's running in 7th against Steve Park behind him in 17th, a couple of laps back. And then the 4-car, that's Bobby Hamilton running on the lead lap. Hamilton now 13 seconds behind the race leader, and he gets around the lap machine of Park. Others on the lead lap, Sterling Marlin. Haven't talked much about him. Sterling is further back still, running in 9th position. Again, the top 9 or 10 really spread very, very wide. There's Jimmy Spencer. We showed him earlier, but now he's 21st, a couple of laps down, Spencer is. And the Winston No Bull car. Kenny Irwin, he's running in the 10th spot. And there again, the race leader. 1st to 10th right now. There's a spread of over 10 seconds. That's Robin Pemberton. Doesn't like what he sees out of Rusty Wallace. Mark Martin is the race leader. He has 1 4/10 seconds here at halfway. Lap number 200. We're seeing Tony Stewart make an unscheduled stop. Those of you who want to participate in that TNN Rev It Up sweepstakes, Mark Martin is the name you want to write down as the driver leading at halfway. Send your name, your age, address, phone number, and the answer Mark Martin to the address you see on the screen, and maybe you'll be one who can win one of 8 grand prizes to join us in NASCAR Winston Cup race in the upcoming few months. So do check it out. Mark Martin is the name you want to submit as the leader today at halfway. Glenn, unscheduled stop for Tony. It's early.
Yeah, and I updated the tire story a while ago. Tony was very, very upset with the car, and they were talking really heatedly about the condition of the car. Tony said he had to have 4 tires. He could not drive it. He was afraid he was going to lose it. I was going to try to get to Robin Pemberton, Rusty Wallace's crew chief, but we went over to cover Tony. But we heard some bad noises out of Rusty Wallace's car. He's talking to Rusty right now. Robin, we're hearing some bad noises out of the number 2. You got an engine problem?
Yeah, we broke something that's on 7 cylinders right now. We're going to caution. We'll try to work on it. Maybe the lock arm or something like that.
Okay, you can hear the dejection in his voice. I tell you, these guys have really had a tough time of it. Went into poles and then having things go wrong in the race. But Buddy Baker, you were exactly right. He does have 7 cylinders, and that's all. It takes 8.
So Rusty Wallace down on power. Dale Jarrett, for the second time today, is now leading the MBNA Gold 400. Took over at lap number 204, just past halfway. By the way, Tony Stewart, by making the unscheduled pit stop before, obviously falls back. He's now running in 27th. He has finished in the top 15 in the last 18 races in a row. So that streak is in peril right now.
Well, you know, Mark Martin is so cagey. He realizes that some of these cars have had a little bit of tire problems today. He's sitting there riding just behind Dale Jarrett right now. I'm sure that he has a good race car. But Dale Jarrett is patient also. I'm sure he's not leaning on his car to the point that he would create a problem for himself.
Mark Martin, a very smart racer in the number 6 in the decade of the 90s. He is second only to Dale Earnhardt in the number of points in the Panhard in the decade of the 90s. Ralph, that's an impressive stat.
That was an astute observation, Mr. Baker. That is exactly what the crew of Mark Martin has told him to do, and that is drop back and save those tires a little bit. The 88 crew picked that up, and they just casually moved out in front. They'll take their turn now at the point.
Michael Waltrip in the number 7. He's a couple of laps down at 22nd, running behind Mark Martin. Mark, a 2-time winner here at the Monster Mile. Dover Down Speedway. Boy, how it's grown up since 1969. Built on the site of the old Delaware State Police Barracks. Buddy, you remember?
I knew that. Yes, I did. Wow, look at the Jerry Nadeau, who qualified on the outside pole. This car that they're using is the one that they had at Bristol this year. Yes, and one thing about, he just went a lap down, by the way, as the leaders go by. But the car itself, they said they had a lot of confidence in. But, you know, when you wreck your primary car, even though you do get it back on the racetrack, sometimes you just don't get the balance in the car that you need.
Well, they didn't hardly have a chance to work on the car at all yesterday. They had an extended happy hour. It was a 1.5-hour practice session, the final practice session yesterday, so they did get it out for a little while, but certainly not the time they ordinarily would have had to get the car set up with springs and shock absorbers and weight balance around the 4 wheels and so forth. But the crew was very, very effective in turning that car around, getting it off the trailer, getting the right springs and shocks on it, best they could, get it out there so we can get at least some laps.
Let's check in with Glenn Jarrett.
Dick, that was an excellent observation. They didn't get much time, and that's what happened early on in the race. The car was very, very loose, and he lost a lap early. They kept adjusting on the car and finally got it in pretty good shape. Jerry liked it, but he moved up from last position to 23rd. But just a few laps ago, he got some traffic, and he brushed the wall, and now the car has gotten tight again. So they have had a long, hard day of it, but I tell you, they're fighting it awfully hard. They've worked really hard on the car and got it a little better, but now they're going to have to readjust again.
Just past halfway, 212 of 400 laps in the books. There's Tony Stewart. Remember, he made the unscheduled pit stop at lap 200. So his tire's far fresher than everybody else and has a long way to come. He's 3 laps down and 26th. And he's climbing his way back up. And here comes Mark Martin again.
Smart a couple minutes ago, Eli. 2 of the smartest guys in auto racing right there running in first and second spot, conserving their tires, driving a very intelligent race. By the same token, a very fast race. They are running a pace that is around 144 miles an hour at this point at Dover.
Jarrett, Martin, Jeff Burton, Matt Kenseth, and Ward Burton. That's the top 5 right now in the middle stages. Back in a moment.
today.
Everybody, the man in the middle of your screen, Dale Jarrett, is the race leader. Bobby Labonte in the green car. Glenn, he's just gotten his lap back. He's now in 12th, last guy on the lead lap.
Yeah, I've been watching him for the last 10 or 15 laps, and he has been the quickest car on the racetrack, or one of the quickest, about 2/10 quicker than Dale Jarrett and Mark Martin have been running, and they've obviously made some adjustments on Bobby's car and have gotten it running much better. We have moved down to Jeremy Mayfield has come in and made another green flag stop, 4 tires, about 17.25 seconds, but definitely Bobby Labonte will be something to deal with. All he needs now is a caution, and he is right back in this thing. Remember, he won here last spring.
Bobby Labonte, he has led at least one lap in 22 of the races already this year. That's why he is in second in NASCAR Winston Cup points, among other reasons.
Yeah, for example, he's been first, second, and third in 13 out of the 26 races so far this year. Exactly half the races he has been in the top 3. What a great year Bobby Labonte and his team have had.
That's a good scramble for 8th. Dale Earnhardt is in 8th. Sterling Marlin in 9th. Dave Marcus is back in the race, folks. He's about 140 laps behind, but he's just come out of the garage area. So if you're a Dave Marcus fan or just a fan of hard work, a tip of the hat to Dave Marcus.
You know, I have to wonder if the first 2 cars right now are really being conservative on their tires. And if they really got after it, they'd probably run like, you know, Bobby is running up there in the 18 car. But the one thing you never know, these guys are tremendous pacers. So when they get out there, I'm sure that Dale Jarrett, I said a while ago, maybe he needs to back off a little bit because he is the points leader. But I guarantee you, he's probably running easy right now.
And Black sure isn't. Dale Earnhardt. You know, you keep waiting for him to win races, and he keeps doing just that. He won 3 IROC races this year, the Daytona 125, Talladega, Bristol, IROC Championship. 7 trophies so far in 1999 for Dale Earnhardt.
A lot of folks overlook that.
Yeah, well, he's had a lot of success every place he has run. I bet you if he were running in the Busch Series, he'd won a bunch of those, too.
He has 16 top 10s this year in 26 races. Compare that to all of last year. He only finished in the top 10 13 times. So he's already got more. And we're sitting here, what, race 27 to 34. So we've got a ways to go yet.
Yep, Dale Earnhardt's all washed up. Sure he is. All you folks who thought he was all done, guess what? You goofed. He's not.
Bill Elliott there being bypassed by the leaders moments ago. Bill is in 12th, a lap down.
Bill's in a new car here today. Remember the last time he had a new car was at New Hampshire in the first race. He pulled the top 5 off with that one. Little different geometry here, different way they've hung some of the stuff. Body's a little bit further forward. First car the crew he now has built for him.
Meanwhile, up to 5th right now is Ward Burton. There he is, the cat machine. You realize that he is the only driver, he's in the top 10 in points right now. You realize he's the only guy in the top 10 who is not part of a multi-car team?
I do. I talked to Bill Davis about that. He said, you know, Tommy Baldwin is like having an extra car out there because he's not afraid to try. He comes from a great pool of great crew chiefs up in the Northeast, so you never know. I mean, this car right now is as good as any multi-car team out there, I think.
Ward at this time last year was 20th in points, and now he's 10th in points.
You know what? That Tommy Baldwin deal is exactly 1 year old this race. This is the first race Tommy Baldwin, the crew chief for this team. They've got 3 second-place finishes since then. These guys are on a roll, and it won't be long before he is back in victory lane.
Steve, that's going to be a potent operation, I think, for a while to come.
Yeah, but bad news right now, Eli. They are losing power. Tommy Baldwin just told Ward Burton to try to switch the ignition boxes. Ward radioed back and said that's not the problem. Ward thinks they've broken a valve spring in the motor.
Boy, I was talking about it, guys, like putting them on the cover of Sports Illustrated or something. It's not too bad. But nevertheless, it's a good bunch right there. And we're going to be hearing a lot about Ward Burton over the next number of months and seasons, certainly. Dale Jarrett is the leader. A look inside the TNN mobile unit. Bringing you the pictures from Dover. 204, Mark Martin takes it back at lap 237. So Mark Martin now reassumes the top spot. For how long? Well, we'll find out together.
I think he's got the car. He moves right on by Jared off the corner there and put about a 2-car length spread on him. As they go back down in the corner, you see the variance in the line as they run around the racetrack. The 6th car right on the bottom. Jared goes up and kind of diamonds the center part of the corner and then comes back down and come off.
These two guys are in a league by themselves. Matt Kenseth is running in 3rd spot, but he's over 8 seconds behind these two cars, currently running in 1st and 2nd.
There you see 1st and 2nd, Martin and Jarrett, separated by what? Car length and a half, maybe 2. Here come the other cars who have already gone a lap down, waiting for Matt Kenseth, who is 8 and 6/10 seconds back. And there Matt is, that yellow machine with the black hood.
I better stay off that. There's a yellow and black car there, of course. And, you know, somebody's fixing to go a lap down. Mr. Earnhardt here, coming off the corner.
Yep, in 10th place. Dale Earnhardt about to go a lap down. We are seeing pit stops for some. Schrader is in and Mast is in. Again, there you see the leaders, Martin and Jarrett, trying to put 10th place Earnhardt 1 lap in arrears.
He moves to the bottom there, gives him the outside groove, but he's not giving them much room to race there as they come off the corner. I don't think he can hold Mark back, though. He's got a lot better race car in the center part of the corner. Watch him accelerate right here.
Coming further back now, so you know what your favorite is. There's Ricky Rudd in 33rd spot. He's 5 laps down, Ricky is. Riding with the Tide Ride. And Ricky's in 33rd. Behind him on the racetrack, there you see Kenny Irwin. Irwin went a lap down moments ago. He is now in 11th spot, 1 lap behind the race leaders as we ride with him through the corner. Then you take a move back to Rick Mast. Rick's been in and out of the garage today. He's 32 laps down right now, being shown in 37th spot for that Woody Woodpecker team. Bill Elliott is next. He's 12th, also a lap down as we ride with the McDonald's entry. He is a lap behind the leaders in 12th spot. Dave Marcus, we told you he's back on the racetrack. Dave is 140 laps down in 42nd. And then the 25, Wally Dallenbach, also on the racetrack. He's in 13th, 1 lap down to the race leader. There you see Ed Berrier in the 90. The 21 is Elliott Sadler. Elliott's in 14th spot, a lap down. Berrier's a dozen laps down in 36th. There you see Matt Kenseth working with Nadeau to the left and Burton to the right. Burton is in 4th spot. Matt Kenseth, he's running in 3rd. There's Michael Waltrip, 21st, 3 laps down. Seems like everybody's laps down. That's true. Only 9 cars on the lead lap right now. Further back you go, Johnny Benson in car 26. He's running in 15th. He's a lap down. And Jeffrey Bodine in that power team number 60. He's also out there on the racetrack. 4 laps down in 28th. Bobby Hamilton hit the wall seconds ago. He continues, as you see Ted Musgrave right there in the number 75 machine. Musgrave also being shown 2 laps down in 21st spot. Field spread out all the way around the racetrack. There you see Hamilton. This card out of the corner of the eye, the fact that he hit the wall. He was running in 6th place at the time. Look at that right front.
Right front, right rear, the whole right side of that car wiped clean right there. That'll take a lot of work to get it back even close to what it would take to get around this racetrack fast.
Now we have seen stops over the last few laps for Schrader and for others. But Ralph, a lot of damage on the right.
Well, they're going to work on the number 4, Eli, right now. They're on the right side of the car. Take a look at the left rear get him back underway for the pole.
Comes out just ahead of Bill Elliott here at lap number 250 as Elliott and Michael Waltrip make their stops. You see Rusty Wallace leaving as well. Lloyd Burton comes in, so too does Hutch Strickland. All of these stops are under the green.
Jarrett, our leader, is headed down pit road also.
He'll stop at lap 251. Jarrett and Jimmy Spencer are in, Ralph.
Now the engine of Dale Jarrett is in, Eli. He has been complaining, as he has all day, that the car is a little tight to the center coming off the corner. They will once again make some minor adjustments to the air pressure of the tires, and hopefully they'll get it right.
Here comes Joe Nemechek as you see Jarrett leave. Here comes Mark Martin now. It's going to hand the lead over to Jeff Burton as Glenn will cover the stop.
Yeah, Mark Martin, they've been talking about it for the last 8 or 10 laps, Eli, and the car is very good right now. I don't expect any chassis changes. There will be a 4-tire and fuel change. They're already over to the right side now. Fuel going in the car. One can just about empty. And I'm looking to see if there's those tires in a little bit of trouble on the right side. Let's go to Steve Burns.
Hey, Glenn, the 17 of Matt Kenseth is in. This is his Twin Series team doing the pit stop. A little bit of trouble on the left front of the 17 of Matt Kenseth. They get in here third. We'll see where he cycles out. Let's go to Ralph.
Well, the 99 of Jeff Burton is in speed. Crew Chief Frankie Stoddard changing the front tires. They have decided to go up a half a pound on the right side tires, and that is going to be the adjustment that they're going to make for him. Still a little bit tight, the 99.
All the other teams now making scheduled stops. There you see the overhead look of Bobby Labante's stop, brought to you by Fram Extra Guard, the only filter with a rough textured Sure Grip top. And Bobby is out just ahead of Chad Little. These stops at lap 253 now. Kenny Irwin is in. Bobby Hamilton is back in at lap 253 after slapping the wall.
Eli, I told you, it would take a while for that 4-car to get anywhere close. They're back working on that car, trying to get it where he can just drive it around the racetrack. It knocks the toe end in. So many things happen when you hit the wall like he did.
If you're keeping tabs, Burton led for a couple of laps. That man, Kenny Irwin, he led for a lap. And now it all cycles back around again to Dale Jarrett. There he is, just behind Mike Skinner. So all the pit stops now cycling around. We have had unofficially 22 lead changes. A new record here at Dover Downs International. Dale Jarrett is the leader in the 88. He is about to lap the 8th place man, Tony Stewart. It happened that quickly. Whatever went wrong with the Home Depot machine happened in a giant hurry.
Yeah, Tony Stewart was just leading and looked like the guy to beat today, and all of a sudden his car went off and he hadn't been able to recapture.
And there's Mark Martin riding with him now, and Glenn, he's almost 4 seconds back of Dale Jarrett. What happened?
Well, Eli, remember when we were covering this pit stop, I said that they had some problems on the right side. And they lost a lot of time there. And now that time has been transferred out to the racetrack. And so the difference in the pit stop, you're taking a look at the pit stop now, and maybe you guys can see what happened on the right side there. Maybe the right front, they had a little problem there with the lug nuts. But anyway, when you lose that much time in the race on the pit, it's transferred right out to the racetrack, and that's what happened. That's why Mark Martin is only 4 seconds behind. Now he's going to have to try to make that distance up on the racetrack.
Again, he only lost 1 position, as you see. He's also now gained 0.7 of a second back. He's now only 3.3 behind Dale Jarrett.
Yeah, we'll be able to tell what he has now. I think he'll go ahead and lean on those tires a little bit, catch back up, then kind of check up and ride along.
He's just a little slow at the right front. Nothing major appeared to have gone wrong. But, you know, these pit crews are so fast now with these 15, 16, 17-second pit stops that you lose a second, and it's a big deal.
You see there on the upper left, so after these pit stops, you know where everybody is. As On Net from MCI WorldCom, brings you NASCAR timing and scoring. On Net is your one connection to the world.
Eli, I I want to brag on this 17 car a little bit. Matt Kenseth is just doing an excellent job today. He's riding right behind Jeff Burton, and everyone knows on the slick racetrack Jeff Burton is the master. So he's not only running very well, he's getting a good lesson right now on what to do to get through traffic in a Western Cup race.
Steve, we also know that Matt ran awfully well here last year, so he obviously likes the racetrack.
Yeah, exactly, Eli. He filled in for Bill Elliott when Bill Elliott's father passed away, and he ran in the top 5 for much of the day. Also wanted to pass along that Matt Kenseth has tested this race car here on this racetrack. And he told me on Friday that he was more nervous about qualifying than he was actually racing. Doing a great job, as you guys pointed out.
So Matt Kenseth out there running in 4th right now. Burton is just ahead of him there, as you see in the 99, but they're also 10 and 11 seconds respectively behind Dale Jarrett, who is the race leader. If you're just tuning in, we have had 3 cautions today. One is when Chad Little and Dave Marcus tangled at lap 63. There was debris on the track at lap 87. Then John Andretti's accident up in turn 2 at lap 153. The reason we're showing you Bobby Labonte, look at that speed chart right there.
Yeah, he's fast, and I'll tell you something else. It wasn't very long ago we said he was jumped, he was getting lapped, and all of a sudden he come in. Jimmy Maycar made some adjustments. The crew worked on the car a little bit. He's out there right now, the quickest car on the racetrack.
Riding with Ricky Rudd now. Ricky's in 27th, 4 laps down. They're going to see Bobby Labonte's car getting bigger and bigger, eating up that real estate. We're at lap 270. Jeffrey Bodine in for an unscheduled stop as he watched Labonte going to get us bigger to swing on by Ricky Rudd.
Wow, I'm telling you, that's a power move there. You can see the car is tracking very well as he starts out of the corner. No wiggle, no bobble, just gone.
Strange results here for Bobby Labonte in this race. He has finished 4th the last 3 times he has been here for the September race at Dover.
The leader, still Dale Jarrett. There he is. And the interval between himself and Mark Martin is stabilized at 3 3/10 seconds. There is the Valvoline machine as you see Bodine in the 60 coming off the pit lane after his stop. Great to see Martha Nemechek back at the racetrack. We're coming right back. One of the closest finishes in NASCAR Winston Cup history, denied Davey Allison victory at Michigan by less than a foot. Dale Jarrett would come to victory lane for the first time. Gave the Wood brothers their first victory in the decade of the 90s. Welcome back, everybody. Eli Gold, Buddy Baker, Dick Berggren, Glenn Jarrett, Ralph Shaheen, Steve Burns, the entire TNN Motorsports crew on hand. And Dale Jarrett is the man in command all season, ever since race number 11 at Richmond when he took over the Winston Cup point lead. Yes, the point totals have varied, but he's always been the man in charge. We're at lap 277. Ricky Rudd makes an unscheduled stop. Sterling Marlin has been on pit road for a while now, an unscheduled stop. And there he is. Ralph, what's the deal?
Eli, they believe it's a problem with the ignition. They're looking for a loose wire or something that might have come unattached. They believe it is an ignition problem for Sterling Marlin.
That's too bad for Sterling. He was running in 15th spot. Others coming in include Bobby Hamilton just behind Sterling's car. Dave Marcus is in. And there's 6th spot. Ward Burton in the 22 about to go a lap down.
Eli, look at the car, the 88 car of Dale Jarrett, able to run right on the bottom of the racetrack, turns anywhere he wants to. Now that car is balanced. You want to know how a race car looks dominant on the racetrack? He can run anywhere he pleases.
Just absolutely eating them up today. Todd Parrott, Brad Parrott, Dale Jarrett. What a combination.
Oh,
whoa. Johnny Benson on the outside. I want to send our condolences to Tommy Morgan, crew chief on that number 26 car. Yeah, his dad passed away on Friday at age 88. So we're thinking of you, Tommy. Tommy is here working on the race car this weekend.
Eli, you see what fresh tires do. That's Bodine there going by the race leader right now. That's fresher tires right now. You see Ward Burton run right back up behind Jarrett. I think Jarrett went in the corner, got a little bit sideways getting in, and then checked up, went back to running again. But That's what fresh tires will do on a race car here at Dover.
Also send our condolences out to the family of Kevin Gobrecht, who lost his life in a sprint car on Friday afternoon, and Friday night rather. And on Saturday, there were an awful lot of long faces in the garage. Many of these folks knew Kevin and respected, admired him a great deal. And feel for all of you that were friends, family, and fans of Kevin Gobrecht. Absolutely.
Those of you who are curious, as you watch Dale Jarrett just mow them all down, 11 times Dover races have been won by a guy who was lap the field. The last time was Harry Gant. That was on the lap by himself back in 91. Matter of fact, on that day, Harry lapped all the way back up to 4th place a second time.
Yeah, but Harry had a different way of talking after the race. His old car wouldn't run. It had a bobble in it.
If the car was running, he would have lapped everybody twice.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see DJ have a good day like this because he's had so much trouble here at Dover. In this race, he's run a total of 12 times. He's only finished 6 of them. Never won this fall race before, so give him this one. If he's going to have a good day, let him have it here at Dover, where he's had so many DNFs and so many hard crashes and engine failures and just so much heartbreak until today.
And right now, grand total of 5 cars on the lead lap. We have had as few as 2 cars on the lead lap here in a 400-mile race back in June, actually, as memory serves. We ended up with 2 on the lead lap, Bobby Labonte and Jeff Gordon. You know, we've not talked that much about today is the driver of the 75 car, Ted Musgrave. He was kind of concerned this morning about reports that had come out that he was already destined to go to the Pep Boys Indy Racing League next year. And granted, Wally Dallenbach's getting into that car, which will have a new sponsor on board for next year. But I don't know if Ted was really quite destined for the IRL, as some of the reports have indicated.
You're exactly right. I went in the garage here, and he called me over, and he said, let's talk a second. He said, don't put me in an IndyCar just yet. He said, I have tested a couple of times, but he said, you know, this is what I do, Western Cup. If there's a real quality ride, then I would go and do the Western Cup again. If I can't get a quality ride, maybe the IndyCars.
I talked to him about it as well, and his eyes were just about 4 feet wide when he talked about driving those things. They are fun. Here, they don't even lift all the way around Dover when the IRL is here, wide open all the way around. Scary to watch, I'll tell you that.
Really is something. 287 laps on the board. There's the leader, Dale Jarrett. Ralph by 3.5 seconds. Dale has the lead on Mark Martin.
We're here with his crew chief, Todd Parrott, who's giving one final quick word of instruction. A time of 4:90 to his driver, Dale Jarrett, right now. And he's going to come down here and talk to us just in a second. Well, Todd, you got this car really running well. You got a little over 100 laps to go. What's the strategy from here?
That looks like we just got to make one more stop. The car seems to be pretty good. Good on long runs. And out front, the car's in clean air. So guys have had great pit stops so far. Everything's been pretty good.
How's Dale's back of that?
When he's out front running like that, he don't feel it back, I'm sure. So he's probably feeling pretty good when he's out front. Hope we can stay there.
Glenn Jarrett?
Okay, I'm standing out here under Jimmy Finnick now, and Jimmy's calling lap times out to Mark Martin. Jimmy, you lost a little time in the pit, but the car looks good on the racetrack. What is Mark saying?
Right now, we're a little bit too loose, but we got one more set of tires put on this thing. Let's hopefully we get it then.
Okay, guys, I've been watching the clock, and he has not lost any more time. Let's go to Steve Burns.
Hey, thanks. That was Robbie Rise of the crew chief for Matt Kenseth. You guys are doing a great job here at Dover today, Robbie.
Well, Chevrolet's been running great, Todd. These guys have done an excellent job. I can't say enough about this whole race team. We got a bunch of fellas that work on a windshield cup car and a bunch of fellas that work on a wood car. There's a community effort, and everybody's doing a great job. Matt's done an excellent job. Everything's going really well right now.
Can you win this race today? Can you win it?
I don't know about that. We're going to do the best we can. Right now we're running away with them. You know, you never know what can happen. We'll just see how this thing goes.
Well, you never do know, but right now Matt Kenseth is running in the 3rd spot, albeit 11 seconds down to the race leader. If you're a Ricky Craven fan, he's taken his car to the garage. If you're a Dale Jarrett fan, you've got a smile on your face a monster mile wide. Glad you're with us. That's fourth place on your screen. Bobby Labonte in the 18, Jeff Burton in the 99. Bobby Labonte trying to sweep the Winston Cup races here at Dover like he did at Pocono this year. Of course, we've seen that sweep take, it's happened 6 times over the years. As here comes Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart comes in now, running a lap down in 7th spot. Glenn?
Yeah, Eli, this is actually a regularly scheduled stop. Remember, the last time he had to stop early because of the real loose tires, and so this is actually his regular stop. Now he's hitting on lap 300, and my question is, can he go 100 laps to the finish without having to stop again for fuel? This will be 4 tires of fuel, but we haven't seen anybody go that long so far here today. Normally the Pontiacs of Joe Gibbs Racing can get pretty good fuel mileage, but that's a pretty long way to haul it. 100 laps, that's what he's got to do.
Tony went 99 last time. He came in at 201 and pitched now at 300. And in that span, we have not had any caution laps. So they have been flat out. The last caution was at 153. So, yes, we've seen 99 miles. We've not, as Glenn said, seen 100 quite yet. Of course, the other leaders, such as Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin, those guys, they came in at lap 251. So if you use the same basic formula, somewhere around lap 348 to 350, somewhere in that range, you should see the next set of pit stops. I was about to say, 6 times this in history of NASCAR and Dover, we've seen the same driver sweep both races. Jeff Gordon and Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott. Bobby Allison did it, and even David Pearson back in 1973. So maybe today, who knows, as Bobby Labonte is still within the hunt. Been a quick race, only 3 cautions. If you're curious, we've had a caution-free race over the years here. Bobby Allison won in 71, caution-free. Speedway, Bobby Labonte is currently 4th on the leaderboard. And look at those performances here. Even if he does no better than 4th again today. The consistency is remarkable. That's why he's 2nd in points.
It must be in the genes. Your brother's the same way. You never hear about him, and all of a sudden there he is in the top 5. Not today. Terry Labonte's had a dreadful day. He's been in the pit many times today. Just really not up to full song. But Bobby Labonte, he's just like his brother. He goes out there, he runs very fast, but you never hear anybody say he caused a wreck or he's been in a wreck. He's always just doing the right thing.
Things tightening up just a little bit near the front. Mark Martin closing in on Dale Jarrett now.
Is that what you call tightening up?
Yeah.
That's almost in the trunk type race in there. Mark Martin is really closed in on him. Just a little while ago, we were reporting he had a bad pit stop. Now here he goes to the lead.
Swings right on by. So Mark Martin, you know, his lowest Dover finish in the last 6 races is 7th. And here he is leading the event yet again. Takes over the top spot at lap number 313.
You know, he's really overdue to win another race in 1999. He's only got 1 Winston Cup win, but he has run up front repeatedly week after week after week. And it just seems as if bad things have happened to him and have prevented him from entering victory lane. Could be today.
Could be. We talked about it on the pre-race show. Ralph?
Well, that number 88, Eli, and believe it or not, we've been talking about it all day long about how that car's been a little bit tight from the center of the corner off. They keep making adjustments to the car, and they'll go out, they'll run a few laps, and they'll radio back in and say, Todd, still just a little bit tight from the center off. So even with all the adjustments they've made, they're still just not right yet.
That's what's happening down on the pit lane on the 88 bunch.
That's the most common complaint from the drivers here at Dover. Tight coming out. You pick up the throttle as early as you can at Dover. Try to keep it right on the mat as long as you can. And if the thing picks up a push, it tries to push off toward the wall coming out of the corner. Drivers don't like that. They hate to lift.
That record there you see is for a 400-lap race, as is indicated on the graphic. Back in 1980, and again in 86, we had 29 lead changes in a Dover race. But of course, those were 500 milers in those days.
You remember some of those races, though. A guy would have, he'd be leading and fall out of the race, go take a shower, and come out, and he's still on the leaderboard.
Yeah. The day that Jody Ridley won, what was it, like 18 years ago, when we always tell the story that Cale was leading by a bunch of laps, and he went out. Then the late Neil Bonnet was leading. Then Harry Gant was leading. And then Jody's number, the Junie Donlevy car, went up on the board, number 90, and the scoreboard stopped for like 5 laps while everybody caught up, because obviously the leader has to go the advertised distance. So, yeah, we've had, over the years, some unusual settings here.
5 laps down at one point in the race. Jody was 5 laps down and wound up winning the thing.
Derek won Darlington by 14 laps one time.
What was the biggest margin of victory? You had, what, a 7-lap win one somewhere?
Yeah, but I don't remember where it was. I should be able to remember them more often than I got there. But, yeah, I won Darlington by 7 laps one time.
Indeed so. Buddy Baker, pole winner here 20 years ago at 135 miles an hour, and you probably thought you were flying back in those days. And now 159 is what Rusty won the pole by, 14 miles an hour quicker.
It's like putting a jet motor on a Piper Cub. Those race cars back then, we didn't have downforce. We hadn't been to the wind tunnel, and we didn't have the tires they have now. So let me tell you something. Just because a race car didn't run fast didn't mean you wasn't driving.
24 miles an hour different, the pole speed today from when Buddy did it back 20 years ago. Sterling Marlin's car is still behind the wall. What's the deal down there?
Well, let's find out, Eli. Sterling is sitting in the race car. Sterling, what put you out today?
Top of broke distributor in the Coors Chevy. We was going pretty good, come from way back, and had a good car. They could have run by top 7 somewhere, but we're going to try to get it fixed and get back out.
Thoughts of Sterling Marlin, who was running awfully well, but right now finds himself back in 38th spot. He's some 50 laps down.
Eli, watching 21 there of Elliott Sadler, as we watch the leader go down through here, Mark Martin right now, just mowing them down. He's putting other people laps down right now. But I have one guy back at Lake Norman, I guarantee you he wouldn't miss the second right now. He pulls from Mark Martin, and Mark Martin goes out of the race. He goes right out the door and starts doing something.
Really?
Yep, I mean, the people that like Mark Martin are dedicated fans, but he's the only one out there for him.
We tell you don't like Mark Martin, you're missing something, because there's an awful lot to like in this guy. It really is. Tough racer. You think about that crash he went through at Daytona in July, broke his knee, wound up with a broken wrist, ribs all banged up. What do you do? Next week he gets right into the race car. They lift him in and he goes out there and he's racing anyway.
So the leader is Mark Martin by 1 3/10 seconds. As the pictures come into your living room from our crew here at Dover Downs International. Little got into Dave Marcus, and around went Dave. Look at Matt Kempson avoiding. Same for Bobby Labonte. No avoiding Wally Dallenbach and Steve Park, though. They tangle on the back straightaway. Then John Andretti hit the wall. Lap 153. Lap 204, the lead swapped around, as it has been virtually all day long. Lap 238. The lead is relinquished by Mark Martin, as pit stops were the name of the game. But then he comes right back at lap 313, reassumes the lead, and you're caught up now here at the MBNA Gold 400. Joe Nemechek just hit the wall, Steve.
And Eli, when he did so, he broke a brake line. He had a hard time slowing down. The crew actually had to get him slowed down to keep him in his pit box, and they've lost a lot of time here on pit road.
Well, that's a heartbreaker. He was running 6th at the time of the accident.
Eli, that car is really damaged right now. He'll be back in here for more service pretty quick. You can see the right front corner of the car is not working for him right now. It looks like the wheel's towed completely out on the right front corner. See him wiggling it back and forth. It does not feel right.
There has been no caution.
Also, it's rubbing the fender pretty badly, so he'll be right back in for more service. Joe Nemechek will.
He just very briefly saw Sterling Marlin's car out there. Sterling has gone some 60 laps down after the distributor was replaced. He's been back out on the racetrack now for the last couple of laps. And there's the 24, Jeff Gordon. He's in 22nd, 5 laps down. Haven't talked much about Jeff today because he went a lap down early, and honestly has been no factor. He did pick up his bonus points back at lap number 16, picked up the 5 points for leading a lap, but he's been no factor basically ever since then. There's Tony Stewart. Talk about the Rookie of the Year battle in NASCAR Winston Cup. The Ray Bestis Rookie of the Year scramble has Stewart leading by 112 points over Elliott Sadler. There you see Stewart. Elliott Sadler, meanwhile, is still running well today. He's a lap down, as most everybody is in ninth, though. And there's Elliott steaming off into the corner for the Wood brothers, who had a lot of good runs here over the years, dating back to their heyday with David Pearson.
Yeah, and Joe Nemechek now is back up on the pit road just behind pit wall. They're having to replace all the front end under that car.
Look at those numbers. You realize that most any other year, Elliott Sadler would be waltzing home with Rookie of the Year honors, and he happens to catch the Tony Stewart year.
Well, he's going to win some races, no question about it. His best finish so far this year has been in 10th, but he's running in 9th spot right now, so if he can stay there, that's going to be the best finish of the year right here at Dover.
We mentioned Joe Nemechek behind the wall. There he is. They have pushed him not to the garage, but up onto the horse track.
And that's a welder they're bringing in there. They got to weld some stuff back together there that broke on the right front corner of that car.
Too bad he was running so well. Everybody else making pit stops now. We're at lap 337. Kevin LePage is in. Ward Burton is in. We've seen other stops over the last few moments. Ed Berrier came down the pit lane. Bill Elliott, Dave Marcus. Robert Presley was in, so too Rusty Wallace. Still about a dozen laps from most of the leaders, one would assume, if they stick to their 100 lap or right at 100 lap margin. But remember, if you're just joining us, we saw a pit stop at lap number 300 for Tony Stewart. He would have to go 100 miles to take it the rest of the way. We'll find out whether he's able to do it.
Well, you said he made it 99 laps just a little while ago. I would imagine he probably will make it. They have a good idea if they got all the fuel in there when they stop. That's the key right there.
Well, that in the pickup, but that's a doable deal. 100 miles on one of these cars is certainly not impossible. It's been done many times before here at Dover, too.
Do you get gun-shy, though, after the problems of that first New Hampshire race?
Or even here, he led the most laps here in June and still wound up losing the race when his teammate had a better pit strategy on fuel.
I was just looking at the interval between Matt Kenseth here and the 17. He looks like he's gaining on Jared in second right now.
On the clock, no doubt. Matt Kenseth, if you don't follow the NASCAR Busch Series, you need to know that he is right now 113 points behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. with five races remaining in that series. There's the leader again. Lead lap cars are down to just a handful. Martin, Jarrett, Kenseth, Labonte, Jeff Burton. And here is Burton. Fifth place man will stop. He comes in at lap 342. Ralph?
Eli, it'll be a four tire and fuel change. They took a little bite out of the car of the 99, making a quick adjustment, and he's underway.
Routine stops. And again, we've had scant few cautions today, none since lap 153, and only 3 caution periods in total. So there's been a lot of pressure on the crew members.
Boy, when you make that last pit stop, you just pray, hope and pray that nobody causes a caution after you make a green flag stop like this.
Lap 343 now. Dale Earnhardt comes in. So does Brett Bodine. Likewise, Jeffrey Bodine.
Bit under green like this, we're going to lose a lap, or more likely than that, too. So if there's a caution after that, that's how many laps you're down. Buddy, you're right. They just don't want to see that caution flag fly with those who are already pitting. Stretch it as far as you can. Wait for that caution flag. There have only been 3 so far today. We have not been having many caution flags here at Dover of late. So far this year, the average number of cautions, 6.1. Since 400 laps have been instituted here at Dover, 4.25 has been the average. You can't count on a lot of cautions here at Dover.
Here comes the race leader. He will pit at lap 347. is also in. And Dale Jarrett is in.
Matt Kenseth follows him down pit road, so you have your first three.
Bobby Labonte is the new leader. Ralph?
Well, they got to work on Dale Jarrett's car. He wanted a little bit of bite taken out of this car as well. He's still saying the car is not that good coming off the tires. It's a little bit tight coming off the corner, Steve Burns.
Hey, Ralph, Matt Kenseth is in. A lot of pressure on this pit crew. This is the Blitzkrieg pit crew. So far, a good stop. Just 4 sticker tires for Matt Kenseth. Go to Glenn Jarrett.
And Mark Martin just came in for a four-tire stop with fuel. They also made an air pressure adjustment on the right rear. Jimmy Finnick told us it was a little bit loose, so they took a half pound of air out. And boy, what a pit stop. 17.2 seconds.
So all of these stops under green. Here comes the race leader, Bobby Labonte. He will come in at lap number 349. And remember, with only a handful of teams on the lead lap, this is going to cycle everybody back around again. Let's take a look from overhead now. The Fram Extra Guard overhead camera. The only filter with a rough textured Sure Grip top.
You can see him pull the plastic off the windshield on the left side of the driver's side there. It's just like pulling it off a motorcycle visor. When you strip it off that windshield, it's clean then.
Steve, it looked routine.
Eli, the only adjustments they made to the number 18 of Bobby Labonte was air pressure on the left, on the left rear and the right front. No other chassis adjustments but air pressure.
So it cycles around again to that man, Mark Martin, because there are only a handful of teams on the lead lap. But is the wild card Tony Stewart? I wouldn't think so, but maybe. We'll talk about it. Everybody, that is Ricky Craven. He has had a tough day. He's been in the garage with transmission problems a couple of times. He has made repetitive pit stops, and now he impacts the wall.
Eli, I would bet you Tony Stewart will make a pit stop now.
Yeah.
He has nothing to lose. He can get fresh tires and go right back after him now.
He was the 6th man of 6 on the lead lap. So one would assume he'll be coming in. Here's the tail end of what happened. You see Ricky right there already breaking loose.
Going back up towards the outside wall there. You can see Jeff Burton just getting underneath him there.
Never does make impact with the wall, but enough for caution. 4th time today. Let's go back to Steve.
Hey, thanks, Eli. We're here on the horse track, actually. Last week, Joe Nemechek the winner, but Joe, what puts you out today?
Something happened to the right front tire. Just going in turn 1, you know, I was running about with the leaders there. Had an awesome day going with the whole Bell South Chevy team, and just sailed it off into 1, and all of a sudden it just flopped down and shot into the wall. Have no control. Just a tough day. You know, we had a good car. Was going to have a really good finish, and it just wasn't meant to be.
Thoughts of Joe Nemechek, who will not be winning today. Right now, we watch as the laps work under caution at 3:54. Tony Stewart is in, so too Jeff Burton. You see them on the right-hand side of your screen. 6 teams on the lead lap. You might as well come in, take fresh Goodyear Racing Eagles, and run it for all it's worth. These stops again at 3:54. Ralph?
99 in, Eli, taking a little work to the right side of that car right now. A lot of frustration down over here. Glenn Jarrett, they're still working, having a lot of trouble with the right front.
Okay, Tony Stewart is in, and guys, remember he pitted last on lap 300. He couldn't make it on fuel, but his tires were 54 laps old, so he came in for fuel and 4 fresh Goodyears. He was at the tail end of the lead lap anyway. This caution was a tremendous break for him because the lap times he was running were about 3/4 seconds slower than Mark Martin. It shouldn't have been too long before Mark would have been able to put him a lap down again, so big break for Stewart.
Ricky Craven has taken his car, I should say, back to the garage, while the coach, Joe Gibbs, watches Labonte in 3rd and Stewart in 5th. Have to check out NASCAR online before, during, or after the race at www.nascar.com. After the race, Buddy Baker will be taking your questions online today. So join in for that chat session. NASCAR Online. Also, stop by any NASCAR Thunder Store location and pick up your free Thunder Club card, which gives our preferred customers discounts on future purchases. And don't forget to check out the new NASCAR Thunder website at country.com. Just click onto the motorsports area and then click into NASCAR Thunder, or just type in NASCARthunder.com for the latest NASCAR merchandise that is hot off the track. I've done some of those chat sessions. I know Glenn has. Nick, you have. It's going to be a lot of fun for you today, buddy.
It is, if I ever find out the number to call. I don't know how to get in touch with it, so this may be the shortest chat that NASCAR ever had with anyone.
I'm sure they'll get you the phone number. Let's go down to Steve.
Eli, Bobby Labonte just avoided a potential disaster. He felt the left front tire going flat during the caution. He came back in. Here's where the tire is cut right here. They've circled it. Here's the cut. So he'll only lose 3 positions on the track. Again, avoiding potential disaster. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Hey, thanks, Steve. I came down and I checked with Jack Rouse. He's standing on the pit cart behind me. And the only comment he said was, wow, we just did not need that caution. They were kind of reluctant to tell me anything else. I held up this sign for him and said, look, guys. I'm just a TV guy. I'm not spying for the 88. Here's Ralph.
What did Jack hold up? A sign right back to no information. Ralph?
Well, Eli, down here in the 88 crew, they're learning a lot about the pressures of chasing a championship. A lot of frustrations going on with the pit crew right down here as they talk about the different sets of tires. The crews number each set of tire, and the tire specialist will call up a particular set that he wants to have ready to go. There was some conversation as to which sets were left, what the tire pressures were, a lot of frustrations. But as they argued back and forth and yelled at each other for a little while, they finally all stopped, pulled each other together, started talking amongst themselves off the radios, started patting each other's helps on the back, said, okay, guys, let's go get it.
So right now it is Martin, Jarrett, Kenseth, and Stewart, Jeff Burton, and Bobby Labonte. Those 6 teams on the lead lap nearing the finish. Gamers out there. There's a new champion of 4x4 off-road racing available now from ASC Games. TNN Motorsports Hardcore Heat. It makes its debut on Sega Dreamcast as the gear-grinding, rough and rugged racing excitement comes to life on TNN Motorsports Hardcore Heat. Check it out. It's available now from ASC Games. On the restart, Bobby Labonte found himself 3 wide going into the corner and in all sorts of trouble, buddy.
Yeah, and he's got some kind of problem right now because he's not exactly up to speed like he was just before. He went way, way back. Let's look at this. He goes in turn 1.
Those guys went
that's
wide.
Jimmy Spencer and Chad Little there. They made a little contact coming out of turn 2.
Right behind them is where Bobby Labonte got in trouble. Joe Nemechek is back on the racetrack now. He'll be some 45 laps down, but Joe is returning. Let's get an update on the interstate car.
Well, Eli, we said that he may have avoided disaster when he changed tires, but now Bobby thinks he has an engine problem. He switched ignition boxes, and that didn't seem to do it, so now the indication is that he has an engine going sour.
Tough race for Bobby Labonte's been a tough race today, as they all are here at the Monster Mile.
Stewart really just drove underneath Kenseth. Kenseth wobbled just a tad there in the 3rd and 4th turn area, and Stewart took advantage.
That's all it takes the 3rd place to change.
Yeah, I thought Matt Kenseth had let the car push right out into the wall. It took off on a dead push towards the wall. He backed out of the throttle, but Tony Stewart on a mission right now, right on the bottom of the racetrack.
Take a look at that pass again for the 3rd spot.
Okay, you see the 20 of Tony Stewart come up. Now watch right here. They just not quite a touch, as a matter of fact. He was back in the throttle. Now it's in that dead push I talked about. He just had to back out of it. But it broke loose before it did that.
That's where the wiggle came from.
Sure did. Martin, Jarrett, Stewart, Kenseth, Burton, and Bobby Labonte.
Tony Stewart right now is absolutely flying around this racetrack. He ran 149.676 on the last lap. Dale Jarrett, 148.
Look at old Chad Little's numbers. Do you see them there in that graphic? Chad is now running in 7th here today. Had the early problems, got into the accident with Dave Marcus in lap 63. whole crew has done some good work for him. Second place will be up for grabs here momentarily. Tony Stewart in the 20, Dale Jarrett in the 88, going towards turn 3.
See Jarrett taking a wider, higher line as Tony Stewart really gets back in the throttle much quicker. Makes the pass look pretty easy.
So second swaps hands. And now 1 7/10 seconds further ahead is Mark Martin.
Now let's remember one thing. Tony Stewart's on fresh tires. Jarrett did not stop. That's what a lot of the crew members were really worried about when they went back to green. He's on fresh tires right now, and that's the difference, I think, on the racetrack.
There you see the difference from the lead back to Stewart. Now Tony came in at lap 354. Mark Martin took on his fresh tires at 347. So what's that, 7 miles difference? Is that a factor?
Absolutely. Anytime you put a heat factor on the tires and then slow back down, you have one heat cycle on those tires and they really get harder.
Well, he's still faster than the leader. Look at the numbers. 29 laps to get there and try to pass.
Rookies just don't do what Tony Stewart's doing this year. If you consider him a rookie, a lot of people say you don't call him a rookie. He has 3 national titles already in sprint car midgets and in the IRL. But still in all, what he's doing with a car that he's really not acquainted with says a lot for the Joe Gibbs group as a big team. Everybody helping out.
He's 4th in points, as we talked earlier. He's 1st in points since mid-season. He is 1st in points in the last 6 races. He is 1st in laps completed this year. He has only 1 DNF, only 1 race where he did not finish. He ran out of fuel at Michigan and finished 10th, and is the 7th rookie to win an event in NASCAR Winston Cup. Yeah, he's pretty strong.
And you know, you never would have thought it looking at his Busch Series results, because he wasn't that good of a Busch driver. He never did win in the Busch Series. Had 16 out of 36 DNFs, same number of poles this year, 2 of them, and 2 seconds as his best finish in Busch Series.
Meanwhile, that man, Mark Martin, has now clinched the 5 additional bonus points for leading the most laps today. But he's checking his rear view mirror, because as you can see, it's only 2 seconds back to the man in orange. Tony Stewart camp up on Rusty Wallace, who is now in 31st position, some 15 laps down. I'm Eli Gold, Buddy Baker, Dick Berggren alongside, Glenn Jarrett, Steve Burns, Ralph Shaheen down on the pit lane and in the garage. Mark Martin, the dominant man here today once things settled in. And now it's only 1 6/10 seconds from Martin back to Tony Stewart. But as our buddy Larry McReynolds likes to say, it looked like Stewart might have worn the goodie off the tires.
Exactly. Last lap they ran exactly the same speed Tony Stewart did and Mark Martin. So it's going to be hard to catch a guy who running exactly the same speed as he is.
147.3 miles an hour for Martin. 146.3 for Stewart. So now Martin, at least on this last lap, is a full mile an hour faster as he goes around Dave Marcus and the Realtree team running in 39th spot.
Well, that can be 1 lap car as you start in the corner, can really change your lap speeds considerably. But right now, Mark Martin has open racetrack, and he's really attacking it right now.
In the Ray Bestis Rookie of the Race battle, Tony Stewart, obviously, again, the highest at the moment. Elliott Sadler's had a most respectable day, running in 12th right now. Number 2 man in the Ray Bestis Rookie of the Race and Rookie of the Year battles. If things hold up, it would be the 12th win of the year for Ford. Should Tony Stewart get through, though, it would be number 7 for Pontiac.
It seems like almost every week we're saying Tony Stewart's chasing somebody. Last week he was chasing Nemechek right at the end of the way. Right now he's chasing a little harder guy at Dover, Delaware. I would hate to have to go after Mark Martin with just a few laps to go.
And Mark was faster on that last lap as well.
There you see Dale Jarrett, 5.9 seconds behind Martin and 4 seconds behind Tony Stewart.
And Jarrett's complaining, and you could see it right there. Jarrett had the wheels turned. He had to slow the car down to make it react. He's not able to get back in the throttle. The car is pushing across the racetrack, the front end, so he's not getting the grip he wants.
If you're a Ricky Rudd fan, an oil leak has ended his day. He's taken the Tide ride to the garage. No chance to fix it with only 13 laps to go, about 6 minutes of racing remaining. So no chance for Ricky. He's going to park it with an oil leak prior to the finish.
Martin and Stewart running very similar lines. You'll see how Mark is running down to the bottom of the racetrack, going through the corner. As he goes by Terry Labonte, then just takes it right up outside toward the wall. No more of this stuff that they were doing early on in the day where they were running very high in the turns.
Well, you see Kenny Schrader way, way up high. Mark Martin is mowing him down as he goes the low line around the racetrack.
Talked about Mark Martin driving the car JR52. Finished third in Atlanta this year and second at Bristol, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast. The only other appearance of note, 1998. That's the car that won the Winston, NASCAR's All-Star race in Charlotte. As we've got now 10 laps remaining.
Look at how fast he is.
Around Bill Elliott.
Some of them high, some low.
Yeah, wherever he has the cars handling just superbly. And Glenn, Tony Stewart got within a second and a half, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's pretty much leveled off now, Eli. And I talked to Greg Zeppedelli, his crew chief, and Greg said that the car was just a tiny bit tighter than Tony would like it right now. And he said he didn't think they had much of a chance to catch Mark unless Mark had some kind of problem. But I don't see any problems on the 6 car right now. He's been awfully steady all day.
Well, the one thing that both of them have to contend with is the lap traffic at the moment. They're in high traffic right now, so one little bobble, one little weave, and you could be in the wall or have a problem running, too close to another car, maybe ding a fender in. That's why they call it racing. It's never over till that checkered flag flies.
In and around Ken Schrader goes Tony Stewart. Another lap will click off the board. Martin, a two-time winner here at Dover. Trying to keep that September streak of his alive.
I knew that,
I know you did.
There's the interval between first and second right there. Tony Stewart still back in traffic. Mark Martin pretty well cleared that group of traffic right now, so with one more car passing, I think that it'll be just 6 laps to go. He'll need a jet.
We had talked earlier, remember in the pre-race show, we were talking about how unlikely it would have been to think that after Rockingham, our very first telecast of the year back in February, that would have been the only win of the season for Mark Martin. And now he's going to try and rectify that with his second win of 99 if he can work through traffic.
I don't think Mark Martin's lost a lot of races this year. I think physically he has not been up to par. I really think, broken bones and all.
The Daytona injury.
Yeah, and they had to pick him up and put him in the car, lift him out of the car. No matter what you say, that has to just connect itself right to the brain when you're hurt.
It's going to be hard to just drive the race car as well, being as beat up as Mark Martin has been. The back injuries or back problems that he has suffered this year as well. I mean, this is one tough guy to even be out here racing at all. Never mind to be racing up front the way he has week after week after week with all the pain he has been through.
This would be the 20th win for Ford here in Dover. Chevy still has 21 victories here at the Monster Mile, going back over the years. Tony Stewart does himself proud.
Absolutely. And so is Dale Jarrett. I mean, he's having a problem with the handling on the car, but he's persevered. A third is not bad at Dover. And Matt Kenseth out of the Bushcraft National Division running along in fourth. Bobby Labonte, we said he was having trouble a while ago on the restart. Off power a little bit, still in fifth.
Looking back towards Dale Jarrett, now 8 seconds behind the leaders. As Mark Martin comes to the striped white flag. One more lap here at the Monster Mile. It will be Mark's 31st career NASCAR Winston Cup win, his 21st on super speedways, and his 3rd consecutive win in the September running of the MBNA Gold 400. Mark Martin and Roush Racing heading back to victory lane here at Dover Downs Speedway in Delaware. Tony Stewart finishes 2nd. 8 seconds further back, Dale Jarrett will come home 3rd. Matt Kenseth 4th. Bobby Labonte comes across the line in 5th. Then Jeff Burton 6th. Chad Little 7th. Dale Earnhardt. Steve Park now crosses the line in 9th. And Kenny Irwin will come home unofficially in 10th. That is the top 10, but that's the man who has been the dominant performer as he leads it all. The most laps, led it halfway, and Steve, Jimmy Fennick, and Mark did it all today.
Jimmy Fennick, congratulations. How did you guys win this race on a tough racetrack?
I'll tell you, that's Mark Martin's the best. You know, we finally gave him a car that he could win with. You know, we've been struggling all year, didn't know what car to run, but I'll tell you, when you give Mark Martin a car, there ain't nobody going to beat him.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We're coming right back, and we're going to victory lane. You did good, Mark. In 1999. 15 top 5s, 21 top 10 finishes, and in 27 races, Mark Martin has led 20 of those events when Jarrett's caught up with him in victory lane.
And literally caught up with him because he slipped on the car there. Had to give him a little bit of a hand there. Mark, I know you're tired, but boy, what a great race car you had under you today.
Man, I did. I just want to thank everybody. Matt, Arlene, I really wish y'all were here. This is a big one for me. And this whole team, you know. I got to thank everybody that worked so hard, and it's been a while, and we really haven't, you know, this race team hasn't given up. You know, we've been in there digging, been a top 5 car every week, but, you know, this one's for Valvoline and Cummins and Eagle One, Bugles, Bosch, Ford. And I tell you what, I saw a few guys having some tire trouble out there today, but I had great good years on my car. I couldn't have been happier with the tire. It worked perfect.
One thing I expect you weren't too happy about after you made your last pit stop, everything was good to go. You had a good lead, and oh no, here comes the caution.
Yeah, that made me sick, boy. I thought anything could go wrong. You know, this is not a good time for us to lose a race. You know, we were strong all race. In the first half of the race, I just kind of ran along and kept the leader in sight. I didn't want to be the leader. Later on, I got some confidence, and after that last set of tires, you know, that last pit stop, you know, we were going for it. And then they had that caution. I knew there was only one thing to do now. It's buckle down and get with it. And I ran her hard, and we had enough. So it's a really nice thing to win these races. And, you know, I just congratulate the whole Roush team.
Well, we congratulate all of them also. And I tell you what, you've got a lock on September here at Dover. That's 3 in a row. Mark Martin, for the 2nd time this year on TNN, is the winner. Here's Steve Burns.
Hey, thanks, Glenn. I've caught up with Dale Jarrett. Dale, 3rd place. I guess all things considered, are you happy with that?
Pretty good day. You know, starting where we did, we had to be a little cautious at the beginning, and we worked our way up. The car was awful good at the start of the race, and but then it seemed that from there on we were tight all day in the center of the corner. Could never get that out of it, and last set of tires was even tighter than any that we'd had, and I'm sure it had something to do with the racetrack getting a little slicker. So we were no match for Mark Martin. He let us lead a little bit, and we appreciate that, but he was definitely the class of the field.
Pretty good comeback considering you had a problem in qualifying. You guys really got the car fast.
Yeah, we did, especially at the first. We made up a lot of positions, and the guys did a great job in the pits, as they have been doing. And, you know, all in all, if you look at the points, pretty good day for us. We knocked another race off here and got a top 5.
All right, getting even closer to that championship, guys.
Buddy, I like the way he says, and Mark let us lead a little bit there.
Well, you know, you could almost see it. Mark would take the lead, and then he would just pull over and let him go. He didn't want to lead the first part of this race until the tire wear was established.
Well, it's been a great day here at Dover Downs International Speedway. Don't go away. We're coming right back. We hope to hear from Tony Stewart. So stay with us. It's Al Robinson front and center, handles all of the victory lane ceremonies here at Dover Downs. Let's remind you about wrenchhead.com, the ultimate online automotive superstore, the only site you need for all of your automotive repair, maintenance, and performance parts. Visit them today, www.wrenchhead.com. Fans now beginning to file out after Mark Martin picks up the win here at Dover in the MBNA Gold 400. Tony Stewart, Dale Jarrett, Matt Kenseth, and Bobby Labonte, the top 5. Only other car on the lead lap was Jeff Burton. Those 6 finishing the full advertised distance. Everybody else at least 1 lap down. And in that case, Little was only one of 5 guys who were 1 lap down. A lot of guys went down early and then pretty well stayed there. Let's see if we can catch up with Tony Stewart due to come out of his transporter.
Eli, he is here with us now, and Tony, you've got your second place finish of the year, your 9th top 5, and once again, you're the highest finishing rookie. Only one time this year you haven't been the highest finishing rookie, yet I see you come out of the car, and you're all kinds of frustrated and angry and everything, and now you're laughing and joking, but it took you that first 5 minutes to get back to where you are now. Can you explain to me, and for the folks at home, what kind of drive and determination you have to be like that? What kind of an edge it takes to be that aggressive?
Well, I can tell you, I mean, it was a lot easier the first 200 laps than it was the last 200. I mean, the first 120 or so laps, I mean, we're pretty much just running our pace and you're not abusing the car. But the last 200 laps, I ran the car every lap 100% as hard as I could go. And, you know, we got 1 lap down, and then we got 2 laps down with our last stop. And, you know, Greg Zeppedelli did a great job making the call that we knew we could stay out, and then that last caution there just helped us get an opportunity to get fresh tires and come to the back of the pack. So, you know, I didn't come to this series to run second, but let me tell you, as a rookie, I mean, I'm not going to complain about second place finish, but it's hard. I mean, we had such a good car early in the day, and Mark Martin was the class of the field today for sure. I mean, I could tell he was toying with me. He was letting us lead laps. You know, we just kept running our pace, though, and we thought that later on in the day, as the track would change, we'd make adjustments. But, you know, it was hard today. I mean, the tire that was here, you never knew what you had. Every time you went on the racetrack with another set of tires, you didn't know whether the thing was going to push or whether it was going to try to spin out every lap. So, you know, it just made it hard for the guys to dial on this Home Depot Pontiac today.
Does this team stand a chance at this championship?
I don't know. With Dale Jarrett running third today, I don't know. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, when I won the 3 championships in '95, I was third going into the last race at Sacramento, and I was a long shot to win it. And both the guys that were in front of me dropped out, and I ended up winning it by 2 points. So I'm never going to say never, but you know, even if we don't win the championship, even if we don't gain any more positions, I mean, this has been a great year for us.
How has this team grown since the last time we were here in June? Obviously, you got your win at Richmond, but can you tell us a little bit about what you've seen from inside the team, how the organization is clicking now as opposed to the last time we were here?
The neat thing is all these guys, they can stand in a group, and one guy can start a sentence, another guy can finish it, that guy can start a sentence, another guy can finish it, and that kind of communication and that kind of trust in each other is really what makes the championship winning team. And you know, these guys are gaining confidence every week. These last 3 weeks have been really good to us, and when they go back to the shop, they're really pumped up. And you know, there's a lot of teams right now that are dragging when they go back to the shop and you know, are really struggling just to finish the season and finish on a high note. And, you know, we're on a high note right now. We got that momentum on our side, and that's what it's going to take to finish where we are.
Eli and Buddy, maybe you can comment on this because you've been a driver and you've chased after championships. To me, it was very intriguing to see that drive out of Tony when he crawled out of the car. Somebody who is never satisfied with second, not because he's egotistical, because he's driven to be a champion. And I think a lot of times that gets misread.
Well, let me tell you something. You see a guy that likes to lose, and I'll show you somebody that does a lot of practicing.
Well said. Well said, Buddy Baker. We're coming right back. We're going to visit with Bobby Labonte and a whole lot more as Melvin Joseph, the patriarch of Dover Downs, celebrates in victory lane with Mark Martin back on Labonte, who's made his way in and around his transporter in the garage area. Glenn?
Well, Eli, for a long time there in the last half of the race, nobody could catch up to Bobby Labonte. He had by far the fastest car on the racetrack. You got the caution you needed. Of course, I don't know if you really needed it or not. You were catching them, but something went awry, Bobby. What happened?
Oh, well, you know, just one of those deals right there at the end. That caution came out. Then we had a flat tire right after that, so maybe that was the good fortune part about it. Then we went back to green after we got 4 more tires and dropped a cylinder in it. And, you know, don't really know what it is yet, but it just went away, and very fortunate we finished. So, you know, we had luck on our side on that part of it. But unfortunately, we weren't able to show what we had there at the end. We're a fast car, but we were lapped down for a long time, made it up, and we drove real good. You know, the car was really good at the end. It was terrible at the beginning, but made a lot of changes to get it better. And for whatever reason, it came to life after that. So it was a good day for us after that, and still finished 5th on 7 cylinders, I think. So that was quite remarkable, I reckon.
Still kind of disappointing, though, to have the thing under you like that, and you had them in sight catching them, and then, woo, it just went.
Well, I guess you could say that, but early on, I couldn't pass the sole. I pushed to the wall. I clobbered the wall. I did everything that, I should have lost a lap, and I did. And, just car just never would cooperate. So we made changes and never did anything. And finally, we just did some more, and it worked. So I guess we just hit upon the right combination. So we didn't start off the day right. So it wasn't like we led 389 laps and lost it there at the end. So we had a good car. It's just that we didn't, get to show it at the end like we wanted to.
Well, guys, we talked about his average finish position here all during the telecast. I think he improved it a little more today.
He did. Came home in 5th spot. He was 19 seconds behind the race leader, but nevertheless, fine, solid performance for Bobby Labonte. As you see the crew on the TV compound outside the main grandstand here at Dover Downs International Speedway. Record crowd on hand again, as virtually every racetrack now exceeds 100,000 people in capacity. Interesting to note that Jeff Gordon came home in 17th today, buddy. I wonder how much was just a race car that wasn't working. How much was the distraction of all of this talk over the last few weeks about the future of Ray Evernham?
Eli, Doctor, and all of us were down to talk to Ray Evernham in the garage area this week, along with about 1 million other people that wanted to know what's going on. No matter whether they admit it, whether Jeff Gordon says it's true or what, there is a distraction. If you don't have 100% of the time to dedicate to that race car, it shows up on race day. I think right now they're going through a very hard time. Most dominant team in the 90s, and they're having problems because there's so much. People are making up stuff now about what Ray Evernham's going to do, where he's going to go, this and that. Right now, it has to be a distraction to the team. Nobody knows where they're going. I think right now it's showing up on the racetrack.
We'll follow up on that in a moment, but let's go back to the garage area. Steve has caught up with Ward Burton.
Boy, and Ward had a super run going, Eli. You had worked your way up to 3rd and settled back in 5th. I heard Tommy Baldwin talking to you on the radio. You're figuring out what to do on the next pit stop, and then, bam, if something went wrong in the motor.
Yeah, it looks like we got a bunch of rubber buildup in one of the spark plugs, but guys kept digging, and we were running on 7 cylinders for a long time. I got a lap down, but came in and got it fixed for a while, got the rubber off of it, and then it started skipping again. But it was a good day for us. Finished 11th. Considering where we were at in happy hour yesterday, we'd have probably taken 11th and hauled out of here. But the guys just keep working on the car for me all the time. Really happy for Caterpillar. I think we had a pretty good points day, too. That's important right now.
Ward, not to put words in your mouth, but you guys have run so well at times this year. You've got to feel like a win is, just right in front of you.
It very well could be. We've had the opportunity a few times to win, just haven't been able to capitalize on it. But I'm really excited about this team and the future of this team, and Caterpillar and all their sponsors, Siemens, MBNA, Mountain Dew, all of them have been great for us, and we're going to have a good year the rest of this year and next year.
All right, thanks, Ward. Let's go back upstairs.
All right, guys, thank you very much. A good run for Ward Burton today. Came home in 11th spot. We've got lots more to chat about. We'll give you the full rundown. We'll look at the points. We'll hear from other drivers in the garage area. The fans had a good day. Heading on home after the MBNA Gold 400 won by Mark Martin today. One of 6 drivers on the lead lap. Tony Stewart, Dale Jarrett, Matt Kenseth, Bobby Labonte, and Jeff Burton rounding out those 6 teams on the lead lap. We were talking about the Ray Evernham, Jeff Gordon, all the talk that's gone on this week about where Ray might be going and how that might impact the team. And to finish up the story you had started before, buddy, and referencing your own experience when you were with the Ranier team with the 28 car, and all of a sudden the operation basically fell off the end of the table.
Well, it did, and it was one of those things that it was a love of mine. I loved the race car. I liked the people a lot. And things were going along, I thought, pretty well. We won Daytona, we won Talladega, we won Atlanta, we won Michigan, and we won Martinsville. I said, how much better can things get? And after I won the Talladega race in the fall, I was walking across the racetrack, and they said, I understand you're not going to be in the car next year. And I went, huh? And they said, yeah, we heard that. And I went over and asked the principal people involved in the operation. I said, I heard I may not be in the car, and you're talking to another driver. And they said, well, we have been talking. And it was like the graft. It went straight across. We were going up, 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 up. And then when I found that out, you could look, our performance just died right there.
Interesting. Steve, is there still talk even at this hour down in the garage, or are folks just packing up to go home?
Well, I can tell you there is a lot of talk, Eli. I just tried to stop Jeff Gordon, and he has never refused an interview. Granted, he was on his way out. But I talked to some of the other reporters who had talked to Ray Evernham, and they asked Ray, has this all been a distraction? Ray responded, well, when you finish 17th, it's always a distraction. They said, no, all the media attention, everybody trying to get to you, has that been a distraction? He said, I'm only talking about Dover. I'm not answering any other questions. The follow-up question was, will you be at Martinsville? No comment.
Yeah. That, of course, the next stop for the NASCAR Winston Cup teams. Thanks, Steve. Good update down there. Let's take a look at who finished where. We've talked so much about the top 6. Chad Little, though he probably won't get Dave Marcus's vote for the day because they had a tete-a-tete early and Dave was rather outspoken. But Chad came home with a 7th place finish there. Dale Earnhardt, you saw. Some good runs again. Elliott Sadler. Kevin LePage, didn't talk much about him, but another Roush team doing well.
He had a good run today. Earnhardt, though, from 37th all the way up to 8th spot today.
And Jerry Nadeau had some problems during the race, started in the very last spot and worked his way all the way up to 16th. So, you know, had they not had a few problems during the week, they wiped out their primary car. They might have been a factor today.
And there you see Kenny Wallace, the first retiree from today's MBNA Gold 400. Time now for the post-race tech fact, as Glenn has been busily checking out doings down in the garage area.
Took a wild ride to sustain major damage to the rear end housing of his car. Todd Barrett and the crew were fully ready for just such an emergency. Was it just good preparation, or was it premonition?
Woke up Saturday morning, had a funny feeling in my stomach, and I told the guys to have the stuff ready. And you know, we talked about it. What would each guy do a little bit? You know, if the situation came, and you know, the few weeks after that, and in these past few weeks, we've kind of been in the same position.
And Todd Parrott in a pretty good position today. And Todd, we just showed the tech fact where you and I talked the other day about the premonition you had at Bristol. Did you have any premonitions this morning?
Well, starting back in 26th, I didn't take anything for granted, that's for sure. We did our normal stuff, and you know, we had a great race car today. You know, we come from 26th to like 7th, I think, in 35 laps. You know, us in the 99 car, and led some of the race. Guys had great pit stops, good track position, and car was just too tight at the end. You know, once the rubber got down on the racetrack there at the end, the car started sliding the front end too much, and I think he was just protecting his position there at the end.
Well, and the whole crew has done a good job of doing just that. They got another race under their belt. Only 7 more to go now, and they can go to New York victorious.
They can do just that, as it is a good, fine finish. 3rd, it's not a win, but it keeps them very much in the point hunt. Jack Roush, Jimmy Fennig, we're Downs International Speedway. Don't forget, coming up next Saturday here on TNN Motorsports, the ASA Championship is on the line. Only 16 points separating the point leader Tim Sauter and Mike Miller. And they're going into the last race of the season. You're not going to want to miss it. The North Carolina Sweet Potato 400 at a Saturday at 1 Eastern and Pacific. Right here on TNN Motorsports as they settle the American Speed Association Championship for